Chapter 001. Are you satisfied now? You go, boom. After a huge slamming of the door, Uchiha Suke looked at the closed door in front of him with a confused look on his face. However, Uchiha Suke did not leave immediately. Instead, he listened to the faint choking sound behind the door and looked down at his hands. The palms were slightly red, and a few slender crimson hairs were wrapped around the clean and slender fingertips. Did you accidentally pull it off while holding down Kushina's head? Or, was it from when I pulled her hair? Uchiha Suke can't remember clearly. After all, who cares about such things in that case? As for the reason why the palms are slightly red, Uchiha Suke is somewhat impressed. Maybe it was with Kushina's that he pushed too hard unconsciously. However, he cannot be entirely blamed for what happened. I can only blame Kushina for being so charming. He made the same mistake every man makes. Even now he is only 16 years old. For a moment, Uchiha Suke broke free from his thoughts. The black hair was gently swayed, revealing a handsome side face with sharp edges. On the back of the dark blue high-collared robe, there is a fan with a white top and a red bottom, and a simple black scabbard slung around the waist. Uchiha Suke, a Chunin of the Uchiha clan who generally opened 2 Megatama Sharingan. Of course, this was Uchiha Suke just a month ago. From that day on, he was never the same. He actually traveled to the Hokage ninja world a long time ago, but he only regained his memory a month ago. And on that day, Uchiha Suke skipped 3 Megatama and started Manjiki Sharingan directly. The sudden awakening of chaotic memories, coupled with the sudden increase in power, made the semi-crazy Uchiha Suke do some extraordinary things. In other words, Uchiha Suke thought he was dreaming at that time. Well, an erotic dream. By the time Uchiha Suke stabilized his thoughts and regained his sanity, the done thing was already done. Originally, this was just an accident. But, the sage said well, everything happens only 0 times and countless times. Uchiha Suke came to the door again after 3 days. At that time, what he said was still fresh in his mind. Kushina, you don't want Namikaze Minato to know what happened between us. If the first time was an accident, the second time was a bit unfamiliar. Then Uchiha Suke is out of control. Uchiha Suke can't even remember how many times he has appeared here this month. Maybe 10 times? Maybe 15 times? Or more. Of course, the results are exactly the same every time. Closed door, choked crying. It's just that the tacit understanding between the two of them has grown strangely. From entering the door, to fighting, to being kicked out. They can even do it without saying a word, and the tacit understanding is terrifying. Uchiha Suke and Kushina, 2 names that had nothing to do with each other, now have a particularly complicated relationship. Even the name Uchiha Suke has never appeared. Probably he died in a mission in the future, or in a war. Uchiha Suke was thinking confusedly, and there was a ding-dong sound in his ears. Ding! Collect Uzumaki Kushina's hatred, anger, shame, confusion, and joyful emotions. This time, the total emotional value obtained is 3,200 points, and the current cumulative emotional value is 44,200 points. A sudden voice in his head interrupted Uchiha Suke's thinking. Yes, Uchiha Suke also awakened a system when he restored the memory of his previous life as Blue Star. Emotion Collection System Host, Uchiha Suke Bloodline, Uchiha Bloodline, Manjiki Pupil Technique, God Controlling Body, Left Eye, Ten no Gaku, Right Eye, Emotion Value, 44,200. In addition to the attribute panel, the emotion system also comes with an emotion mall. Uchiha Suke can purchase any item in this world with sentiment points, including but not limited to bloodline, ninjutsu, and secret techniques. Even Manjiki Sharingan, Sage Body, Tailed Beast, and Satsuki Bloodline, Uchiha Suke can be redeemed with emotion points. It's just that the prices of these latter items are so high that Uchiha Suke feels that even if Kushina breaks, he won't be able to save enough. The current redemption target of Uchiha Suke is a pair of Manjiki Sharingan who have the same origin. Emotional Mall Manjiki Sharingan, same origin 200,000 emotional points. In fact, the price of a pair of Manjiki Sharingan in the emotion mall was originally 100,000 emotion points. However, to awaken the eternal Manjiki, it is not enough to obtain another pair of Manjiki, they must also be biological brothers. Uchiha Suke can only say that Kishimoto knows how to play. If he didn't have a system and no brothers, wouldn't he be worthy enough to open the eternal Manjiki? No wonder the Uchiha clan always gives birth to 2 children at a time, perhaps in preparation for opening the eternal Manjiki Sharingan. But until now, no one in the Uchiha clan knows why they have 2 children. Uchiha Suke, who is familiar with the plot, naturally knows the flaws of Manjiki Sharingan. Before becoming an eternal Manjiki, using the Manjiki Eye technique will gradually lose light. Uchiha Suke doesn't want to go blind. Emotional system panel, Uchiha Suke just glances at it. Most of his attention was focused on the system prompt just now. Collect Uzumaki Kushina's hatred, anger, shame, confusion, and joyful emotions. The total emotional value this time is 3,200 points, and the current cumulative emotional value is 44,200 points. Ashamed and angry? Confused? Pleasurable? Aren't there only 2 negative emotions, hatred and anger? If it weren't for the system prompts, Uchiha Suke wouldn't even notice the difference in Kushina today. Ming Ming was as indifferent as ever, his eyes looked as if he wanted to eat someone. Although, Kushina does eat billions of his offspring as well. But, this is different. Uchiha Suke didn't see Kushina looking happy at all today. No wonder people say women are born actors. However, this time I gained the most emotion points except the first 2 times. Is it because the types of emotions have increased, or? Uchiha Suke took note of this matter and planned to study it more in the future. Don't get me wrong, he has no other ideas, just a scientific research spirit to explore the essence of the world. Exhaling a breath, Uchiha Suke turned and left. After a few dodgers, Uchiha Suke's figure appeared on the Hokage Rock, overlooking the entire Konoha village. Now, Konoha is in a state of war, the Third Ninja War. Compared to the peaceful days before, the village was much cooler. After night falls, there were almost no pedestrians walking on the road, only the low chirping of cicadas and the faint flickering of a few dim street lights. A large number of ninjas were sent to the frontline battlefield, while civilians were busy with frontline logistics. Feeling the cool breeze blowing on his face, Uchiha Suke sat absent-mindedly on the edge of the cliff, not feeling much about the current war. Anyway, it's not his turn to play. No matter how intense the war, Konoha would retain some standing strength. And he happened to be a left-behind member of the Konoha Guard. Besides, he is not a poor time traveler who can only survive in the cracks. He has now opened the Manjiki Sharingan, and has 2 bug-like Manjiki Eye techniques. The Imperial Body and the Imperial Center of Heaven. Chapter 002. God-controlling body, crowned with the power of gods, and with powerful eye skills, it can seal all the power of the person it sees. The ability of the left eye is simple and crude. Uchiha Suke can seal the full power of anyone he sets his sight on. If Uchiha Shisui's distinguished heavenly gods are called the strongest genjutsu eyes in the future, then his god-controlling body is the strongest sealed eye in the ninja world. It's not certain whether he is invincible or not under Tsutsuki. But, above Tsutsuki, he can trade one for the other. The godly body is also known as sealing techniques. Is there any sealing technique in the ninja world that is more domineering than his sealing technique? Otherwise, how do you think Kushina is so obedient? How could Kushina not resist? Do you really think the nickname of Blood Red Pepper is just a joke? Part of the reason she didn't resist was because of Uchiha Suke's threat. But the more reason is because of Uchiha Suke's Manjiki Eye technique, godly body. The only drawback is that this pupil technique can only seal one unit after being used, and it cannot be used continuously in a short period of time, so it can only be used as a trick to suppress the enemy. At the same time, Uchiha Suke's use of the divine body comes with a huge price. After the operation, even he, the performer, will be affected by the seal to a certain extent. While Kushina is sealed, most of his powers cannot be used. However, even so, he still has the strength to completely crush the person sealed by the divine body. Uchiha Suke also calls his Goshin body the 50-50 win technique. Uchiha Suke even wondered if he himself would be implicated in the god-controlling body. It was because this technique was too overbearing and took up most of his power, so it appeared that he was also sealed. However, regardless of whether this is the reason or not, it does not affect the power of his technique at all. It can be called the strongest one-on-one skill. As for the upper limit of this pupil seal, Uchiha Suke doesn't know yet. Anyway, Kushina, as Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, has no resistance at all and is at his mercy. Furthermore, he has no chance to use it on others. First of all, it is confidential, and this technique cannot be made public. Otherwise, once the enemy is prepared, it will be easy to be targeted. It is equivalent to the 7 injury fists in the ninja world. After all, when you seal others, you will also be affected. Secondly, it's because he's been a little busy this month. He has only started Manjiki for a month, and this month he has been, ahem. The Tianzi Yuzhong in the right eye is equally powerful. The royal center of heaven, gods stand proudly above time, overlooking the heaven and earth, and control everything. This pupil technique in Tianzi Yuzhong can actually affect time. These days, Uchiha Suke has developed two specific applications of this eye technique. One is to speed up your own time. In this way, Uchiha Suke's physical skills, seal speed and sword drawing speed have all been improved based on the concept of time. The other is to slow down the time of space in a certain area. For example, reducing the enemy's attack speed and sealing speed will slow down the concept of time. Under the influence of Tianzhi's Hong, the enemy doesn't even feel that he has become slower. This time generation difference can bring huge advantages to Uchiha Suke. However, the second method consumes pupil power at a much higher rate than the first method. After all, the time range affected by the second method is higher than that of the first method. However, even if the first method of accelerating one's own time is used, the consumption of pupil power is still exaggerated. Powerful power, involving the realm of gods, will always be accompanied by huge consumption. After only a few experiments, Uchiha Suke felt that his eyesight was significantly declining. This is also the main reason why Uchiha Suke actively obtains emotional values but does not use them at all. Just being with Kushina this month, Uchiha Suke felt that his eyesight had declined a lot, and his need for the eternal Manjiki became more urgent. Overall, though, Uchiha Suke is in no rush. Manjiki starts with the system in hand and a good understanding of the future. Uchiha Suke doesn't know how he lost. Uchiha Suke is very satisfied with his current life. As for his previous lives in 996 and 007, he had forgotten them in the gentle countryside for a month. Anyway, he was an orphan in his last life. After looking at the starry sky for a while, Uchiha Suke stood up and disappeared under the moonlight. Uchiha Station. Uchiha Suke returns to his lonely home alone. His parents died when he was very young. If there is a close relationship among the entire Uchiha clan, there is only one person. Uchiha Mikoto. When Uchiha Suke was a child, Uchiha Mikoto's family lived next door to their house. After the death of his parents, Uchiha Mikoto's family took good care of him. It wasn't until Uchiha Mikoto married Uchiha Fugaku and became the patriarch's wife, and the family moved away, that the relationship between them gradually faded over time. Of course, there is another reason that cannot be ignored. Uchiha Fugaku does not like Uchiha Suke. Uchiha Suke was lying on the bed thinking about the past, and soon fell asleep. In the next few days, Uchiha Suke continued to live the same life as before. During the day, he fished in the Konoha Guards, the Uchiha family company, and went home to rest at night. He would go to Kushina's house every now and then. So unhappy. Until one day a week later. Uzumaki Kushina's home. Uchiha Suke got dressed after finishing and was ready as always for Kushina to drive people away. According to Kushina's usual habit, after finishing her work, she would grit her teeth and push Uchiha Suke out of the room. While cursing a few words, he slammed the door and cried secretly. But today was different. After the study, Kushina did not move. He just put the quilt on his body and stared blankly at the wooden floor in front of him. This unusual behavior made Uchiha Suke feel nervous, and a little yellow-haired figure appeared in his mind. Xiao Huang Mao seems to be saying, "Brother Ji, I'm waiting for you in front." Uchiha Suke couldn't help but shudder, and when he raised his head, he met Kushina's indifferent gaze. Could it be? To be honest, Uchiha Suke also felt that what he did was quite excessive. But then again, if it weren't for Kushina being too submissive, not resisting strongly enough, and giving in step by step, Uchiha Suke would not have reached this point. Of course, to say this is to ignore the facts and shirk responsibility. However, no matter what, Kushina's unusual behavior today made Uchiha Suke feel uneasy. As time went on, the atmosphere in the room grew heavier and heavier. This depressing atmosphere made Uchiha Suke very uncomfortable, and coupled with the reminders from the emotional system, it made Uchiha Suke a little confused. Collect Uzumaki Kushina's indifferent, comfortable, joyful, relieved, and confused emotions. The total emotional value this time is 5,400 points, and the current cumulative emotional value is 64,200 points. Kushina's mood was not right, and the mood value she gained was ridiculously high. Weird things happened one after another, making Uchiha Suke even more uncomfortable. Just when Uchiha Suke couldn't help but bite the bullet and leave, Kushina's voice came faintly. I am pregnant. Kushina said, with a hint of obvious mockery in the corner of her mouth, and a kind of relief in her eyes, as if the tight string in her heart was suddenly loosened. If she had endured for various reasons before. So now, the fire can't be contained in the paper, and she finally doesn't have to endure it anymore. Uchiha was stunned when he heard this. Kushina. Pregnant. Chapter 003. Kushina is Naruto's mother, and her pregnancy is actually normal. However, the time is wrong. At this time, the three battles are not over yet. Namikaze Minato also didn't become Konoha's fourth Hokage. Of course, what's more important is, this month, Namikaze Minato did not return to Konoha. And, a month ago, Uchiha Suke saw blood. Thinking of this, Uchiha Suke touched his nose awkwardly and asked subconsciously. Be mine. Kushina just looked at Uchiha Suke sarcastically and said nothing. But it was obvious in her gaze. If it's not yours, who else could it be? Do you know how I got here this month? But now it's all over. As a Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, Kushina knows better than anyone how much Konoha values her. She could barely hide it for a while in the early stages of pregnancy, but if it took a little longer, she would definitely be discovered. After all, Jinchuriki's pregnancy is different from the pregnancy of ordinary women, and the aura cannot be completely hidden at all. During this period, Uchiha Suke was able to do whatever he wanted. It can only be said that luck played a big part. Because, after Kushina and Namikaze Minato met, Konoha's guarding of her changed from a state of strict defense to a state of strict protection within. As long as she was in Konoha village, no one was watching over her, they were just restricting her from leaving Konoha. Uchiha Suke was a little confused when he heard this, although he had indeed been worried about Kushina getting pregnant before. Because he doesn't like wearing gloves when writing. Gloves will affect the flexibility of the fingers, making them insensitive, making it awkward to write, and making handwriting difficult. However, he really didn't expect that Kushina would become pregnant so soon. Isn't it said that world plots have inertia? The senior time travelers misunderstood me. How come this plot doesn't follow common sense? Why is it so easy, just? You know, the child Kushina gave birth to was Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto is the savior of this world, equivalent to the protagonist of the world. How could the plot change after such a child's play? Uchiha Suke admitted that he had a fluke in his mind during this process. But, facts aside, doesn't the Hokage ninja world have no responsibility at all? Seeing a flash of panic on Uchiha Suke's face, the sarcasm on Kushina's face became more and more intense, followed by deep disappointment. Goodbye, Minato, I'm sorry for you, you will meet a better girl in the future. If she was threatened by Uchiha Suke, she still had some extravagant hopes for the future with Namikaze Minato. After becoming pregnant, she completely gave up on this idea. Kushina thought, looking down at her flat belly. His eyes flashed with kindness, and he gently reached out and touched her. From now on, you will be my only relative. Kushina did not intend to abort the child. On the contrary, the pregnancy became her spiritual dependence. If their affairs were revealed, she would be fine as a Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, but Uchiha Suke would be different. The Hokage will never allow the Uchiha clan to have a close relationship with the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. In addition, Uchiha Suke is on the fringes of the Uchiha clan. When both sides are unpopular, Kushina doesn't have to think about it. Uchiha Suke will definitely not end well. This will really relieve you. This is indeed the case, with Uchiha Suke's strength a month ago, if something like this happened, he would definitely disappear suddenly on a dark and windy night in the future. However, thinking about it conversely, if Uchiha Suke was just a month ago, he would not have done such a thing. However, Uchiha Suke was indeed caught off guard by Kushina's sudden pregnancy. Originally, he was just going to hang out, go to the theater in Konoha, earn emotional points along the way, become invincible secretly, and become a good Taoist. Just experience the Hokage ninja anime as a real person. Look at the passion between Naruto and Sasuke, and then do something you enjoy. But the fact that Kushina was pregnant made him give up the idea of showing off. But when Uchiha Suke thought about it, he had such a relationship with Kushina, and it was destined from the beginning that he would not be able to hang around. Kushina's pregnancy simply accelerated the process a bit. After the Third Ninja War is over, Namikaze Minato will become Konoha's fourth Hokage with the help of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Then Namikaze Minato will marry Kushina. When the time comes, Uchiha Suke can't look at Namikaze Minato and cuckold himself. Realizing this, Uchiha Suke rubbed his brow. Originally I just wanted to be a paddler, but my strength didn't allow it. Uchiha Suke clearly understands that once Kushina's pregnancy is revealed, it will trigger a series of chain reactions, and he will have no foothold in Konoha. After all, his Manjiki Sharingan is not invincible. At that time, there is no need for Namikaze Minato, Jiraiya, and Sarutobi Hiruzen to take action at the same time. All it takes is Namikaze Minato to lead a team of elite Genin, and he can be easily killed with perfect information. Unless Uchiha Suke defected to Konoha now and went away, hiding in the ninja world. But that kind of life like a sewer rat is not what Uchiha Suke wants. Life in Konoha is wonderful, Kushina is also running, and he doesn't want to give up this life. Kushina didn't look away from Uchiha Suke's face, as if she wanted to see his despair and panic, so as to vent the hatred and depression in her heart during this time. But she was soon disappointed, and Uchiha Suke, after the initial brief panic, quickly calmed down and met her eyes again. Uchiha Suke smiled slightly and said calmly, "I see." Kushina was stunned for a moment after hearing this. "You know, you really know? You shouldn't react like this." However, Kushina quickly returned to her sneer. In her opinion, Uchiha Suke is just pretending to be calm. "As soon as you know, leave immediately. Do you still want me to see you off today?" "Leave? I have no intention of leaving." Kushina frowned slightly and looked at Uchiha Suke in confusion. A flash of scarlet suddenly appeared in Uchiha Suke's dark pupils, and the evil three Tomo Sharingan appeared again. As Kushina watched, the three Megatama began to spin. As time goes by, the Megatama spins faster and faster. Fear? No, Uchiha Suke is only excited now. The louder the waves, the more expensive the fish. Gao Uchiha Kikyang, at this moment, I even started to look forward to the future. Chapter 004. The change in Uchiha Suke's eyes was all too familiar to Kushina. This month, she would see Uchiha Suke every time he came to her house. Seeing this, Kushina's apparent calmness was instantly broken, and a trace of panic appeared on her face. "You, what do you want to do? Do you still want to do something like that? You, don't come here." Uchiha Suke smiled slightly and took a step forward to Kushina. "What bad thing can I do? I just want to reward a mother. Aren't you scared?" Kushina raised her head slightly, exposing her beautiful neck, and met Uchiha Suke's eyes. Uchiha Suke didn't show the kind of madness before death, he was very calm, which made Kushina a little curious. Why is Uchiha Suke like this? Is he really not worried? Uchiha Suke shrugged. "I was a little worried at first, but I wasn't afraid." "What's the meaning?" Uchiha Suke did not answer immediately, but asked instead. "Kushina, do you think I will be afraid of Namikaze Minato after our affair is discovered?" Kushina cannot deny this. Although she has never left Konoha, news about Namikaze Minato has been circulating in Konoha. Due to publicity, Namikaze Minato is almost considered to be the strongest ninja in the Third Ninja World War. The title of Golden Flash is like thunder. There are even orders in various ninja villages to give up the mission directly when encountering Namikaze Minato during the mission. Seeing that Kushina didn't speak, Uchiha Suke leaned over and whispered in her ear. "Putting aside whether I'm afraid of Namikaze Minato or not, I don't want to lose you more than anything else. Besides, I am unmarried and you are unmarried. We are interested in having a concubine. What does Namikaze Minato have to do with him?" Although there was not much spiritual communication between Uchiha Suke and Kushina during this time. Every time it was just the sound of objects colliding. However, after writing for so long, Uchiha Suke admitted that he didn't want to let go. Kushina was dumbfounded when she heard this. "Are you sure it's Lang Yuking who is interested in concubine? Do you want to hear what you just said?" However, Kushina soon had no time to think about this. All night long, Uchiha Suke spent the whole night at Kushina's house. At the same time, this is also the first time Uchiha Suke spends the night at Kushina's house. It wasn't until the sky brightened slightly and Uchiha Suke left a message that he left Kushina's home. "Don't worry, I will solve it, leave everything to me." Uchiha Suke left here without waiting for Kushina's answer. On Konoha Avenue, Uchiha Suke breathed in the fragrance of morning flowers, and soon a system notification sounded in his ears. Collect Uzumaki Kushina's emotions of satisfaction, worry, complexity, entanglement, irritability, pessimism, and anticipation. The total emotion value this time is 6,000 points, and the current cumulative emotion value is 70,200 points. Looking at the emotion collection system, Uchiha Suke was confused. Before today, he had only gained more than 50,000 emotion points in a month. However, yesterday alone, he gained more than 10,000 emotion points from Kushina. You know, among the more than 50,000 emotional points, there are more than 10,000 emotional points obtained for the first time? In other words, the emotional value income in the first 2 days and yesterday actually accounted for almost half of the total income in this month. Looking at the emotion acquisition system in his mind, Uchiha Suke suddenly seemed to understand the correct way to open the system. The warm sun is rising in the sky, and Uchiha Suke's thoughts are a little divergent. Although he acted very calmly in front of Kushina, he was not as calm as he appeared in his heart. Kushina's pregnancy cannot be kept secret for long, and there is not much time left for Uchiha Suke. In fact, even if there is no pregnancy, there is not much time left for Uchiha Suke. The Third Ninja War did not last long. It only took about 2 years from start to finish. Now, this war has been going on for more than a year and has already entered a fever pitch. When the war ended, Namikaze Minato found out that the person he loved was pregnant with someone else's child. Uchiha Suke couldn't imagine what would happen then. However, there is no doubt that the results will be extremely bad. Don't forget, this is Konoha village with the same heritage. From Senju Hashirama Senju Tobirama to Sarutobi Hiruzen to Namikaze Minato. To put it nicely, it's called an electoral system. It's okay to just call it hereditary. Uchiha Suke doesn't think they will have a good opinion of him, and they will definitely want to kill him. Uchiha Suke must find a way to break the Third Ninja War before it ends. Thinking of this, Uchiha Suke had a headache. To be more precise, he couldn't wait for the war to end. Because, Kushina is pregnant. The source of all the troubles came from the ridiculous actions he made on the day he regained his memory. However, if Uchiha Suke were to do it again, he would still do it. To die under the peonies is to be a ghost. Not to mention, Kushina really runs. Exhaling a breath, Uchiha Suke stopped in front of the Konoha hospital. Anyway, I can't think of what to do at the moment. Let's buy some medicine for Kushina first. Uchiha Suke used the transformation technique in a deserted place, and then entered the hospital. After all, Kushina is carrying his child. After learning that Kushina was pregnant, Uchiha Suke, an orphan for 2 generations, felt amazing. I just don't know, will the child born be Naruto? Is your hair still blonde? Uchiha Suke thought and subconsciously touched his hair. All members of the Uchiha clan have black hair, and Kushina has the iconic red hair. If this gives birth to a blonde. Uchiha Suke shuddered, no way, this is impossible. Besides, Uchiha Suke is different from Namikaze Minato, who was born a commoner. He is a Uchiha person. In other words, if it is Naruto, he will carry the blood of the Uchiha clan. Naruto with Sharingan. Uchiha Suke couldn't help but rub his forehead again, as if things were getting out of control. However, who made him unable to control himself? One person does the work and one person is responsible. Uchiha Suke is no stranger to Konoha Hospital. He came here many times when he was in the Konoha Guard. Soon, he came to the medicine retrieval port. It's morning, so there aren't many people, and there's no queue for Uchiha Suke. He transformed into a husband who had dealt with a neighborhood dispute some time ago, and the process of buying medicine went smoothly. However, just as Uchiha Suke was about to leave, a flash of purple flashed in his peripheral vision. At the same time, there was a beautiful voice accompanying it. Sister Cauliflower, I'm here to get the medical data. My teacher wants to use it, hee. Uchiha Suke stopped and looked in the direction of the sound. She has a purple high ponytail, a t-shirt on her upper body, and a pair of fishnet stockings that go over her knees under her shorts. The green face made Uchiha Suke pause. This is Mitarashi Anko? Chapter 005. The current Anko does not have full-body fishnets and looks more innocent. But, what Uchiha Suke cares about is not what Anko is wearing, but what she just said. Teacher. Uchiha Suke knows that Anko's teacher is Orochimaru. Anko helps the teacher get the data. Is Orochimaru in Konoha now? This news surprised Uchiha Suke. You know, Rock Shinobi Village, Thunder Ninja Village, Mist Ninja Village, and Sand Shinobi Village have all declared war on Konoha. Although Sand Shinobi Village is in a civil war, more of a nominal declaration of war, the current situation in Konoha is definitely not good. Even the children who had just graduated from the ninja school were sent to the front line by Konoha. You can imagine how serious the situation was. However, at this very moment, Orochimaru was actually in Konoha. Haha, Sarutobi Hiruzen really goes to any lengths to flatter Namikaze Minato. Originally Orochimaru was recognized by everyone as the next generation Hokage. Hokage disciples are talented, powerful, and famous. Making Namikaze Minato the fourth Hokage would be like the emperor stepping over the crown prince and directly making the second prince's child the next emperor. It was so outrageous that his mother opened the door for him, and he was so outrageous. Uchiha Suke couldn't help but think of some of the conspiracy theories he had read before traveling through time. Actually, in the beginning, Sarutobi Hiruzen did want Orochimaru to be the next Hokage, and he did so. However, when Sarutobi Hiruzen was getting older and was about to lose his rights, he couldn't bear it. Because Orochimaru is really powerful and can firmly hold the position of Hokage. If Orochimaru becomes Hokage, it won't be long before Sarutobi Hiruzen's power is completely gone. In this case, Namikaze Minato became his better choice. Young, junior, from civilian background. Even though Namikaze Minato became the Hokage, he, Sarutobi Hiruzen, was still the powerful emperor. Because, Namikaze Minato can't live without him. Combined with Uchiha Suke's memories of living in Konoha for more than 10 years, he couldn't help but begin to believe this conspiracy theory. After all, Sarutobi Hiruzen can even do what he claims to be the strongest Hokage. The strongest Hokage. It's so funny seeing Anko preparing to leave with a large pile of information. Uchiha Suke put away his thoughts, put the anti-fetal medicine into his ninja bag, and followed him quietly. Anko is still young and cannot detect Uchiha Suke's tracking. Not to mention, she never imagined that someone would be following her in Konoha. Her teacher is Orochimaru. Teacher, I'll bring the information, Anko said happily. After putting the information away, he looked at Orochimaru expectantly. Today the teacher said that he would take her for training when she comes back. She had been looking forward to this for a long time and went to Konoha Hospital early in the morning. Orochimaru flipped through the information in front of him and glanced meaningfully behind Anko. Anko, I'm sorry, something suddenly happened today. I will train with you tomorrow. Orochimaru's voice was very gentle. Although Anko was a little disappointed after hearing it, she didn't want to embarrass Orochimaru. Teacher, it's okay, I can do it tomorrow too. Anko is the best. Hehe. Teacher, please do your work first. I'll come back tomorrow. After Orochimaru's approval, Anko jumped out of the room. After Anko left, Orochimaru sat down, picked up the information in his hand and looked at it slowly, as if his attention was attracted by the information in front of him. After a long time, Orochimaru suddenly spoke. Okay, after following you for so long, it's time to come out. Uchiha Suke's whereabouts can be hidden from Anko, but not from Orochimaru. As expected of you, Orochimaru-sama, my excellency, Uchiha Suke. Uchiha Suke's figure slowly emerged from the room. It was expected that he would be discovered, and he didn't think he could hide it from Orochimaru. Besides, he had no intention of concealing his whereabouts. Uchiha Suke. Orochimaru tried to remember the name, but it was too unfamiliar. He just knew that Uchiha Suke was a member of the Uchiha clan. However, Orochimaru didn't know Uchiha Suke's identity because Uchiha Suke exposed himself. It's because of Uchiha Suke's scarlet eyes of 3 Tomo Sharingan. Combined with Uchiha Suke's age, Orochimaru couldn't help but feel a little more curious. As a scientific research madman, his research subjects will naturally not miss the Uchiha clan in the same village. He knew that being able to open the 3 Megatama was not common among the Uchiha clan. Not to mention that Uchiha Suke looks young and young. If the 3 Megatama were turned on, there was no way he wouldn't know about it. Facing Orochimaru's gaze, Uchiha Suke actually felt uncomfortable, as if he was being targeted by Lion Majesty and might be attacked at any time. Orochimaru stuck out his tongue and licked his lips. Jijun, I didn't know you came to me specifically. What's the matter? Orochimaru gave Uchiha Suke a feeling, as if Orochimaru had seen some interesting toy. And Uchiha Suke is that toy. To be honest, Uchiha Suke doesn't want to come into contact with Orochimaru, at least not at this stage. But Kushina's pregnancy forced Uchiha Suke to speed up some things. This kind of advance has its advantages and disadvantages, but it is not completely without benefits. Moreover, Uchiha Suke is not helpless when facing Orochimaru. Because Orochimaru likes to be alone. Of course, this is a last resort. Taking 2 deep breaths, Uchiha Suke forced down the trembling feeling in his heart. He looked at Orochimaru and said solemnly, "Lord Orochimaru, I'm here to cooperate with you." In Uchiha Suke's eyes, Orochimaru is the key to his victory. Of course, the premise is that he has to gain Orochimaru's trust. Or, let Orochimaru treat him as one of his own. This is difficult, after all, snakes are cold-blooded animals, and gaining Orochimaru's trust is like going to heaven. Fortunately, Uchiha Suke has his own way. Orochimaru smiled when he heard this, as if he thought he heard it wrong. Cooperate? Orochimaru didn't continue, but the meaning was already clear. Cooperate? Are you worthy? Even though Uchiha Suke has 3 Tomo Sharingan, the mere 3 Tomo Sharingan cannot catch Orochimaru's eyes at all. Orochimaru is a veteran cage-level expert who has already become famous as one of the Sunin. Uchiha Suke gave Orochimaru the feeling of overwhelming a Genin, at most the Genin who opened 3 Tomo Sharingan. He doesn't like Uchiha Suke at all. I don't even know what kind of cooperation a little Genin can have with me. Will gods cooperate with ants? Uchiha Suke naturally knew that it was not easy to cooperate with Orochimaru, and did not care about Orochimaru's indifferent attitude. I was indeed not qualified to cooperate with Orochimaru-sama just now, but what about now? In an instant, a powerful aura surged out of Uchiha Suke's body. At the same time, the 3 Megatama in Uchiha Suke's eyes rotate rapidly and eventually join together to form a strange flower called Mangeki Sharingan. Seeing the scene that Orochimaru recognized in the distance in front of me, Orochimaru's expression condensed. This is Chapter 006. In Orochimaru's knowledge, there are only 3 changes in the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan. 1 Megatama, 2 Megatama, and the final form 3 Tomo Sharingan. He never expected that there would be more complicated changes to Sharingan's 3 Megatama. Uchiha Suke smiled slightly, "Lord Orochimaru, this is the final form of the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan. I believe Orochimaru-sama knows about Uchiha Madara. This is how the ancestor Uchiha Madara can stand side by side with the power of Senju, the strongest power belonging to the Uchiha clan, Mangeki Sharingan." What Uchiha Suke said was half false and half true. Even so, this information was completely enough. Orochimaru experienced the initial shock. At first, Uchiha Suke was just a Genin. Unexpectedly, after opening his eyes, he directly became cage level. Is this the power of the Uchiha clan? It's really enviable. Orochimaru was instantly interested in the Uchiha clan, especially the transformed Mangeki. However, Orochimaru did not nod immediately. But after looking at Uchiha Suke for a long time, Orochimaru said calmly, "Not enough." Orochimaru admitted that Mangeki Sharingan gave him a big shock, but Mangeki wasn't enough to work with Uchiha Suke on an equal footing with him. If Uchiha Suke came to be his subordinate, he would accept it. In short, Orochimaru does not think that Uchiha Suke, who started Mangeki Sharingan, is on the same level as him. After all, Orochimaru at this time is not the future version of him with a broken soul. Now Orochimaru is at the peak of his strength. Whether it is ninjutsu, taijutsu or ki, he has reached a height that ordinary people cannot reach. In other words, at this time, he still doesn't know how terrifying Mangeki is. Uchiha Suke's reaction to Orochimaru was not surprising at all. This alone is indeed not enough, and his eye skills are actually not suitable for fighting and conquering people with force. The divine body control is just like the Hyuxia martial arts, either killing or injuring the opponent, and the main aim is to kill with one blow. If used once, it will not kill the opponent and make the opponent wary, and it will be easy to target. As long as they are in pairs, his divine body can be restricted to the greatest extent. Besides, Uchiha Suke didn't find Orochimaru just to kill him. A dead Orochimaru has no effect. Uchiha Suke also had no reason to kill Orochimaru. "Orochimaru-sama, aren't you curious, are there any changes after my eyes changed?" Variety? Orochimaru was confused. Uchiha Suke continued speaking leisurely without much pause. After Sharingan is promoted to Mangeki Sharingan from San Magadama, he will unlock the pupil technique exclusive to Mangeki. And my pupil ability is time. I can see the past, and the future. Uchiha Suke nailed the last 2 words. Future. Uchiha Suke did not actually tell Orochimaru about his pupil technique, but only modified the ability of Amon no Gaku. One eye sees the past, the other sees the future. Uchiha Suke is familiar with the plot of the future and can naturally handle the past. Yes, he is prepared to cooperate with Orochimaru, but he does not intend to completely hand over his details to Orochimaru. Because his cooperation with Orochimaru is equivalent to seeking skin from a tiger. Uchiha Suke needs to borrow Orochimaru's power position, but also needs to be wary of Orochimaru. The power of time? Past, future. Orochimaru's eyes narrowed slightly, and his slender snake eyes were fixed on Uchiha Suke, as if he wanted to see if Uchiha Suke was lying. Uchiha Suke was prepared for Orochimaru's questioning look. Orochimaru's strength, IQ, and talent are all among the best, so it's natural that you can't believe him just because of his few words. However, Uchiha Suke did not continue to explain his abilities, nor did he mention cooperation. Instead, he talked about other things that seemed to be irrelevant. Lord Orochimaru, I wonder if you know about the battle between Konoha and Rock Shinobi Village. I saw some very interesting things. Orochimaru didn't speak, just looked at Uchiha Suke silently. He didn't understand what trick Uchiha Suke was playing. However, he did know something about Konoha and Rock Shinobi Village. Rock Shinobi Village declares war and raids Kushina Village. The army is approaching Konoha. Konoha is now in dire straits. However, Orochimaru doesn't think Rock Shinobi Village can defeat Konoha. Because the battle line of Rock Shinobi Village is stretched too long, if he were to do it, he could easily solve the threat of Rock Shinobi Village. It wouldn't be difficult for Konoha to do this without him. Orochimaru is more curious now, what did Uchiha Suke see? Or, what does he know? Sensing Orochimaru's change in attitude, Uchiha Suke knew the bait had been cast. Lord Orochimaru, before the crucial battle takes place, you can focus on a ninja named Uchiha Obito. I believe that before long, he will take you to a mysterious place and let you meet someone you never expected. Aren't you looking for the truth of immortality? There are some gifts I left for you. Let this be the beginning of our cooperation. After Uchiha Suke finished speaking, he turned and left without waiting for Orochimaru to ask questions. Although this meeting between Uchiha Suke and Orochimaru was thrilling, he was not unprepared. Because Orochimaru is too confident and always keeps to himself. Even in the later stages, the people around Orochimaru were just cats and dogs, not many powerful people. The strongest one is none other than Kimimaro. The godly body brings Uchiha Suke great confidence in one-on-one situations. However, Uchiha Suke is not arrogant. He is also well aware of the flaws of the godly body. If he really wants to fight Orochimaru, it is not certain who will win. Especially after Orochimaru figured out the power of the godly body, the outcome became even more unpredictable. In other words, Uchiha Suke only has one chance after using the god body. Either Orochimaru dies or he perishes. Both of these results are not what Uchiha Suke wants to see. Orochimaru did not stop Uchiha Suke from leaving. Watching Uchiha Suke gradually disappear into the room, he recalled in his mind what Uchiha Suke had just said. Rock Shinobi Village. Uchiha Obito. Mysterious place, mysterious people. For a long time, Orochimaru looked at the empty room with a snake-like smile. Jijun, I have to admit that you have aroused my curiosity. I wouldn't mind working with you if the gift satisfies you. Orochimaru has a great tolerance for things that interest him. Leaving Orochimaru here, Uchiha Suke returns the same way. Not long after, he appeared in front of a familiar door again. Then, Uchiha Suke took out a key. Fake Hokage ninjas, climbing trees, treading water, and walking through windows. Real Hokage ninja, use the key to open the door. Yes, Uchiha Suke has the key to Kushina's house for a long time. Every time he comes to see Kushina, he always enters and exits through the door. In the door, Kushina was still lying on the bed, staring blankly at the ceiling, wondering what she was thinking. Hearing the sound at the door, his body trembled instinctively and began to turn slightly red. She has two keys in total, one is in her hand and the other is in Uchiha Suke's hand, so she naturally knows who is coming. Even Namikaze Minato doesn't have the key to her house. In other words, Namikaze Minato is such a gentleman that he has never even entered her home once. Even if Kushina wants to get closer, Namikaze Minato will dodge every time. Then, he smiled softly like a little son and said, "Next time and wait until we get married and the like." This made Kushina angry and touched. As everyone knows, it's all cheaper now. Uchiha Suke. Bracing herself, Kushina quickly sat up from the bed, hugged her knees with her hands, and curled up in a corner. Why are you back again? I'm pregnant. Do you want to make me have an abortion in this way? There was a hint of desperation in Kushina's voice. She doesn't know why there are demons like Uchiha Suke in the world. Uchiha Suke heard this and looked away in embarrassment. He admitted that he was a little unusually excited yesterday and even forgot that it is best not to write in the early stages of pregnancy. He went to the hospital this morning just to make things right. After all, he was a father for the first time. However, Kushina's gaze was indeed dazzling, and he couldn't stay any longer. Leaving the medicine behind, Uchiha Suke turned around and ran away. Uchiha Suke's move made Kushina stunned. His eyes gradually shifted to the items on the table. Anti-fetal medicine? Chapter 007. Kushina was in a trance when she saw the items in front of her. Seeing this, how could she not know that she had misunderstood Uchiha Suke? Kushina's mood was a little complicated for a while. This was the first time Uchiha Suke came to her house, and he didn't do anything in the end, right? Not only that, Uchiha Suke even went out of his way to buy medicine for her while he was away. Kushina was in a daze for a long time, then slowly got up, walked out of the bed, and finally stopped in front of the table where the fetal medicine was placed. Kushina didn't know what she was thinking, but she took the medicine according to the instructions. It took a long time for Kushina to realize what she had just done. A hint of blush appeared on his face, and then his expression turned vicious again. He picked up a panda pillow on the bed on the table and hammered it several times. Don't think that I will forgive you if you buy medicines. I can never forgive you for what you did to me. Thinking of this, Kushina paused for a moment. Moreover, I take medicine not for you, but for the sake of what's in my stomach. The warm sun shines in from the window and falls on Kushina's body. This moment, Kushina lowered her head and stroked her belly, her whole body exuding maternal radiance, as if she was glowing. Uchiha Suke left Kushina with complicated thoughts and walked aimlessly on the streets of Konoha. Uchiha Suke doesn't want to go to work today. He is also considered a squad leader in the Konoha Guard, and is in charge of 5 or 6 people. Even if he doesn't go, there won't be much going on. Not to mention, there were no more than 2 types of shinobi still in Konoha at this time during the war. One is the elite ninja, who has strategic significance and serves as the last force to protect Konoha. The other category is trash ninjas, such as older or marginalized ninjas who are not valued. Uchiha Suke is the latter type of ninja. At this stage, it doesn't matter whether he goes to the guard or not. Anyway, everyone's attention is not here. I don't know how long it took, but Uchiha Suke felt a little hungry. I looked up and found myself parked right in front of the Ichiraku ramen stall. I happen to be hungry, why not eat some ramen first? In the past month, Uchiha Suke has also visited Ichiraku ramen shop several times. For this food that Naruto particularly likes, Uchiha Suke's senses are relatively average. Just a ramen that tastes pretty good. You'll get tired of eating it every day, and it's not as delicious as you imagined. Uchiha Suke thought, Naruto likes eating Ichiraku ramen so much, is it more of a emotional bonus? Ichiraku-san, please order the supreme tonkatsu ramen. Although Uchiha Suke is not rich, as a member of the Uchiha clan, the conditions are still very good, and he has never bothered about food and drink. At this time, Uncle Ichiraku was still very young, only in his 20s. If Uchiha Suke remembers correctly, Uncle Ichiraku just got married 3 years ago, and their child is only 2 years old now. Uncle Ichiraku obviously remembered Uchiha Suke, handed Uchiha Suke a tissue to wipe his hands, and then started making delicious food, and asked at the same time. Gee, why are you here so early today? Uchiha Suke responded awkwardly, something happened today. To be honest, although Uchiha Suke came to the Hokage ninja world, his habit of sleeping in has not changed. It was indeed the first time that he came to eat Ichiraku ramen so early. He didn't expect that Uncle Ichiraku would notice this detail. Uncle Ichiraku seemed to notice that Uchiha Suke didn't want to talk and seemed to have something on his mind, so he didn't bother him. Soon Uncle Ichiraku made a bowl of ramen. After Uchiha Suke took it, he picked up his chopsticks and tasted it slowly. Just when Uchiha Suke was halfway through eating, there was a sound of footsteps and noise behind him. Lin, we will go to the battlefield soon. I will definitely become an excellent ninja by then and impress you. Kakashi, let's make a promise between men. Whoever wins will be eligible to date Linear. No, Obito, I don't want to date you. In addition, there was an extremely disdainful snort. Although Uchiha Suke did not look back, he already knew the identity of the visitor. That voice that sounds like a landowner's idiot is, of course, Uchiha Obito. The sweet and pleasant voice belongs to Nohara Rin. As for the snort at the end, it must have been Kakashi. To be honest, Uchiha Suke is still a member of the Uchiha clan even though his memory has been awakened for a month. However, this was really the first time he met Obito and the other three. The speed of eating was a bit slow, and I was full of curiosity about the three people who were about to arrive. Soon, the three Obitos entered an uncle's booth and sat down in a noisy manner. "Uncle, I want a side of barbecued pork noodles." "Uncle, I want a seafood noodles." Supreme face. After ordering their food, the three of them soon discovered that there was another person at the table. If they were just ordinary people, it wouldn't matter to them. They were attracted by the clan emblem on Uchiha Suke. Lin gently pushed Uchiha Obito's shoulder and whispered, "Obito, I seem to be one of your tribe." Kakashi just glanced at it and then looked away. However, Obito's attitude was unusual this time and he was not as enthusiastic as before. For some reason, he always felt disgusted when he saw Uchiha Suke. Even Obito began to reflect on his abnormal reaction. Is it because he's so handsome that I hate him? No, I'm the most handsome, BD Kakashi. Kakashi was innocently shot. On the other hand, Nohara Lindo glanced at Uchiha Suke twice. Because she found that Uchiha Suke was so handsome, far beyond the comparison of her peers. Even Kakashi was not as handsome as Uchiha Suke. Lin even thought in her mind, obviously they are all from the same family, why does Uchiha Obito look so depressed and this eldest brother looks so handsome? Even compared to her teacher, she doesn't show off. The only difference is that the temperament of the big brother in front of him is different from that of his teacher. His teacher, Namikaze Minato, is like a sunshine, always shining on everyone, giving people a kind of warm trust. Uchiha Suke's temperament is much cooler. The three of them observed Uchiha Suke silently, and Uchiha Suke also observed them silently. However, no matter which party it was, neither party had any intention of provoking a chat. Even Lin had no idea of coming forward to chat with Uchiha Suke. The girl's mind is always sharp, and she could vaguely sense that the two teammates didn't have much favorable impressions of Uchiha Suke. It turned out to be just a chance encounter. Until a gentle voice sounded, Uchiha Suke subconsciously tensed up. Chapter 008. So you are here, are you ready? Next, I'm going to the battlefield with my teacher. The moment he heard the sound, Uchiha Suke had only one thought in his mind. Namikaze Minato, is back. When did you come back? Uchiha Suke thought, a drop of cold sweat broke out on his forehead unconsciously. You know, he spent last night at Kushina's house. This feeling is so exciting. At this time, Nohara Lin was closest to Uchiha Suke. Immediately aware of the change in Uchiha Suke, I couldn't help but feel a little confused. She didn't know what happened. The handsome big brother next to her suddenly became nervous and even sweated on his forehead. Is it because of the chili pepper? Or is the noodle soup too hot? It can't be, it's because of her teacher's arrival. Her teacher is the golden shining light of Konoha, and she has been doing her best to protect Konoha. As a ninja of Konoha, shouldn't Uchiha Suke feel safe? Why are you sweating so nervously? Nohara Lin's small mind could never imagine how complicated the relationship between adults could be. Uchiha Obito heard Namikaze Minato's voice, and there was obvious joy on his face. He immediately jumped up from his seat and turned to look at Namikaze Minato behind him. Teacher, you are finally back. It's great. I can finally go to the battlefield with the teacher and fight side by side. Teacher, let me tell you, when we get to the battlefield, I will definitely surprise you, hehe. Uchiha Obito said, like a child showing off with a lollipop in hand. Nohara Rin stood up and looked at Namikaze Minato obediently. Have you eaten, teacher? Do you want to eat ramen with us? Kakashi didn't say much, but his eyes followed everyone and landed on Namikaze Minato. It is obvious that Namikaze Minato is particularly respected in the hearts of the three. Namikaze Minato scratched his hair and smiled apologetically. I'm sorry, wait. I have other things to do. I'll pick you up after you finish eating, and then take you to the battlefield together. Uchiha Obito heard this, his eyes rolled twice, and he immediately thought of something. Smiling maliciously, he moved in front of Namikaze Minato and bumped Namikaze Minato's arm once or twice with his body. Oh, I understand. Teacher, are you anxious to see Kushina's sister-in-law? Hehe, that must be the case. Without waiting for Namikaze Minato to answer, Uchiha Obito took the lead in confirming it for Namikaze Minato. When Uchiha Suke heard the word Kushina, the chopsticks in his hand froze. Nohara Rin looked at Obito regardless of the occasion and gave Obito a roll of his eyes. But she agreed with what Obito said. After all, their teacher has not been back for a long time. Considering the relationship between the teacher and Kushina, the teacher will definitely miss her very much. Teacher, we are not in a hurry. You should do your business first. We will wait for you here after eating. Uchiha Obito was still laughing. Kakashi looked blankly, not knowing what he was thinking. However, it can be clearly seen that Kakashi is not very interested in the relationship between men and women. Namikaze Minato heard this and smiled sheepishly, with a clear blush on his face. Because what he had in mind was really revealed by Uchiha Obito. But he didn't explain, just apologized gently again. I won't keep you waiting, I'll be there soon. After saying that, Namikaze Minato also noticed another person in the Ichiraku ramen restaurant. It's a pity that Uchiha Suke's back is turned to Namikaze Minato, and Namikaze Minato cannot see Uchiha Suke's face. But looking at the fan behind Uchiha Suke, Namikaze Minato knew that this was a member of the Uchiha clan. Namikaze Minato leaves even faster than she came. Nohara Rin and the other three quickly sat back down, chatting and laughing while eating. Upon learning that Namikaze Minato had left, Uchiha Suke subconsciously looked back at the direction where Namikaze Minato left, his thoughts already flying to the sky. Is he going to find Kushina? I don't know if Kushina will reveal her secret. Or rather, directly expose my evil deeds? At this time, Uchiha Suke began to feel uneasy. The ramen that originally felt good suddenly lost any flavor. Nohara Rin keenly noticed the changes in Uchiha Suke. She was very surprised by Uchiha Suke's reaction and couldn't help but ask. Brother, are you familiar with our teacher? Nohara Rin and the others are 13 or 14 years old, and Uchiha Suke is 16, so Nohara Rin has no problem calling her brother. Uchiha Suke heard Nohara Rin's voice and immediately came back to his senses. He looked at Nohara Rin and smiled angrily. How could I not know Minato-sama? It's just that Minato-sama doesn't know me. Uchiha Suke hopes that Namikaze Minato will never know him, after all, this is not a good recognition. Don't you know me? Nohara Rin murmured, not completely believing it. She always felt that there was something between the big brother in front of her and his teacher. But she soon stopped caring and continued chatting happily with her teammates. At this time, they did not realize the cruelty of war and did not know what they were about to face. On the other hand, Kakashi's eyes were full of heaviness. He looked at the two happy teammates around him and his eyes were a little divergent. War. Not long after, Uchiha Suke found an excuse and left a ramen restaurant. Ever since he knew Namikaze Minato was back, he had lost his appetite. All his thoughts were taken away by Kushina. At the same time, Kushina, who had just taken medicine and was still in a daze in the room, suddenly I heard a cheerful voice outside the door. Kushina, Kushina, I'm back. Chapter 009. Inside the door, Kushina looked shocked. If she had heard this familiar voice before, she would have been ecstatic. Then, he couldn't wait to run to the door and open it. However, when Kushina heard Namikaze Minato's voice, her reaction was completely different. Her head was dizzy and her heart was only panic. Without any time to think, Kushina quickly stuffed the medicines on the table into the drawer next to her. Then she quickly came to the dressing mirror. Kushina almost fell to the ground because she was so anxious. Panting, Kushina looked at herself in the mirror, her face flushed, and she was hurriedly combing her messy hair. Last night, Uchiha Suke was at her home. And Uchiha Suke especially likes to pull her hair, which has long been messed up. She was afraid that Namikaze Minato would see something. In fact, Kushina didn't know what she was afraid of at this time, but she instinctively didn't want Namikaze Minato to know. Like an ostrich, hoping that whatever happened to her would be delayed for just 1 second. Namikaze Minato, who had a happy face outside the door, waited for a while, and when he saw that Kushina didn't open the door for a long time, the smile on his face gradually solidified. But he quickly returned to his smile, thinking to himself. Maybe it's because I came back too suddenly and too early, Kushina hasn't gotten up yet. The timing of his return was not coincidental, and he had to leave again after a while, which made him feel even more guilty. After several minutes, Kushina came to the door, took a deep breath, and opened the door. However, the door was not fully opened as Namikaze Minato imagined, and he did not see the happy smile on Kushina's face after seeing him as he imagined in his mind. The door was like an invisible chasm, only a gap was opened, stuck between the two of them. Namikaze Minato could only see Kushina with her head lowered through the crack in the door, her red hair covering almost all of her cheeks. For a moment, Namikaze Minato thought he had seen the wrong person. In his impression, Kushina was carefree and always looked like a pistachio. Even a little rough. He had never seen Kushina who looked like a little girl before, and was a little stunned for a moment. Even the smile on his face didn't know when it fell, and his mood became inexplicably heavy. After a moment of hesitation, Namikaze Minato slowly spoke. Kushina, did something happen? Kushina still lowered her head, not daring to raise her head to look at Namikaze Minato, her voice a little insincere. No, nothing happened. I'm just feeling a little unwell recently. Kushina's tone stuttered. At this moment, she even wanted to cry. She really wanted to tell Namikaze Minato what had happened to her recently, and wanted to accept Namikaze Minato's care as usual. However, after opening her mouth several times, Kushina's words could not come out. There was no way she was telling Namikaze Minato such a thing. Not to mention, she is now pregnant. Kushina just lowered her head, fighting back the tears in her eyes. Namikaze Minato didn't think much, and immediately became confused after hearing this. Not feeling well? Are you sick? What's going on? Have you gone to the doctor to buy medicine? Have you taken medicine? Namikaze Minato's gentleness at this moment was like a sharp sword stabbing Kushina's heart. She wanted to respond to Namikaze Minato's concern, but she couldn't. She felt that she was no longer qualified to answer now. After taking a few deep breaths, Kushina regained her composure. He raised his head and looked around blankly. Shui, men, why did you come back suddenly? Did something happen? Although Kushina looked guilty and Namikaze Minato was confused after seeing it, he still answered Kushina honestly. I am coming back this time to report back to Lord Hokage, and at the same time take away some of the frontline assistants. Oh, by the way, my 3 disciples will also go to the battlefield with me this time. Obito and the others. Kushina recalled 3 figures in her mind. In the past month, Uchiha Obito and the 3 of them came to see her many times. If it weren't for their company, Kushina might have gone crazy. Namikaze Minato smiled and nodded, well, that's the 3 of them. Let me tell you, even though Kakashi is young, Kakashi is already infinitely close to Janin's strength. The only difference now is experience. Kushina was also surprised when she heard this. Kakashi was only a teenager at this time, and he couldn't help but feel happy for Namikaze Minato to use Janin's strength at such a young age. However, things quickly became cold between the 2 of them. Namikaze Minato has 1,000 words in her heart, but she doesn't know how to say them. Kushina's mind was so confused that she didn't know what to say and didn't want to say anything. This depressing atmosphere made Namikaze Minato feel extremely uncomfortable. He wanted to do something, but it seemed as if he couldn't do anything. He was very powerless. Kushina felt more embarrassed. In this atmosphere, Kushina was the first to take a deep breath and looked at Namikaze Minato, urging him softly. Minato, don't you have a mission to return to Hokage-sama? Go quickly, I'll be fine, don't keep Hokage-sama waiting. At this moment, Kushina was particularly gentle. Namikaze Minato had never seen Kushina like this. He had thought before that it would be nice if Kushina was gentler one day. But when the day finally came, Namikaze Minato felt his heart shrink. After a long pause, Namikaze Minato spoke in a hoarse voice. Well, okay, remember to take your medicine and wait until I come back. When Kushina heard the medicine, she inexplicably thought of the medicine hidden in the drawer and lowered her head. Namikaze Minato believes that the change in his relationship with Kushina is due to him not coming back for too long. However, now this war has entered a critical moment, and there is no room for his son-daughter love. Namikaze Minato secretly vowed in his heart that he must end the war as soon as possible so that he can come back to be with his beloved woman as soon as possible. Unexpectedly, before Namikaze Minato could finish speaking, the door was closed by Kushina. Namikaze Minato's pupils shrank and he looked at the closed door, his outstretched hand not falling for a long time. Kushina didn't have time to think about Namikaze Minato's current mood. At this time, she didn't know what attitude to use to face Namikaze Minato. In just a short while, she was on pins and needles. She even started to worry about Uchiha Suke at this time. What would happen if Namikaze Minato knew about Suke's existence? Is it dangerous to introduce? It took a long time for Kushina to realize what she was thinking about just now. The whole person was in place as if struck by lightning. As if he had lost all his strength, he slowly squatted down behind the door with his back to the door, tears flying out of his eyes involuntarily. Kushina's brain was in chaos, she didn't even know when Namikaze Minato left. A long time passed. Kushina heard movement behind the door again. At first, she thought it was Namikaze Minato who was back. He quickly wiped away the tears from the corners of his eyes and tried to appear calmer. However, when she opened the door and saw that it was Uchiha Suke, Kushina was stunned. Chapter 010. The same door, the same scene, but the people are completely different. Kushina leaned on the door and looked at Uchiha Suke blankly. After the misunderstanding happened this morning, Kushina thought that Uchiha Suke would not come to her again in a short time. Just like before, Uchiha Suke is driven by desire every time he comes to her. There will be several days in between, as if the ammunition stored is full. Kushina never expected that Uchiha Suke would come not long after Minato left. Moreover, this was the first time Kushina saw concern and hesitation in Uchiha Suke's eyes. For a moment, Kushina seemed to understand something, an infinite grievance suddenly emerged in her heart. How did you come? How dare you come? Do you know what would happen to you if I told Namikaze Minato what you did? Ah, do you know? You. Kushina didn't know what she was thinking. Before she finished speaking, she had already thrown herself into Uchiha Suke's arms, and kept hammering Uchiha Suke's upper body with her hands. Uchiha Suke saw Kushina rushing towards him and subconsciously wanted to use the god-bearing body. Over the past month, Uchiha Suke has almost formed a conditioned reflex. After all, Kushina was very irritable in the beginning. But when Kushina's soft fist fell on him, Uchiha Suke was stunned and at a loss for words. He put his hands behind Kushina, wondering whether he should hug her or not. If you ask him to directly right, or directly do evil, he knows what to do, but the situation in front of him is obviously beyond the scope of Uchiha Suke's understanding. Before coming, he had thought about facing Kushina's curses and scoldings. Even thinking that Kushina would beat him up, he never expected that Kushina would cry like a helpless child. For a moment, the only sound left in the corridor was Kushina's crying. I don't know how long it took, but maybe Kushina was tired from crying, so she fell asleep in Uchiha Suke's arms without any protection. Uchiha Suke closed the door with one hand, carried the weak and boneless Kushina into the bed in the bedroom, covered her with a quilt, and sat on the edge of the bed. At this moment, Uchiha Suke looked down at Kushina, who was curled up on the bed in tears, and felt a headache. This is simply a crime. But thinking about it on the other hand, Kushina and Namikaze Minato will not have an easy time together in the future. In other words, there is something fishy about the relationship between Namikaze Minato and Kushina. Just like when Kushina first came to Konoha. Red hair is obviously very good looking, so why does everyone think it is a sign of something ominous? You know, Kushina hadn't become Nine-Tails Jinchuriki yet. Hokage ninjas have hair of various colors. Has anyone else encountered the same thing? This familiar operation makes Uchiha Suke feel more like the handiwork of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Just like the future Naruto, who was regarded as a monster by everyone, Sarutobi Hiruzen gained Naruto's favor without any effort. Another example is when Kushina was kidnapped and the hero Namikaze Minato rescued the beauty. This thing is even more outrageous. Kushina is Konoha's reserve-tailed beast Jinchuriki. To be kidnapped from Konoha? It's just a joke. Then Namikaze Minato's rescue was even more childish, and Anbu in Konoha seemed to be dead. Everything is more like a conspiracy. It's like the plot arranged by Sarutobi Hiruzen, specifically for Namikaze Minato to gain Kushina's favor. Even if Namikaze Minato really likes Kushina, isn't it because Kushina is good-looking and has a good personality? What's the difference between that and him? Moreover, Uchiha Suke does not believe that Namikaze Minato's love for Kushina does not involve any politics. Namikaze Minato himself is even more funny. He is known as the fastest in the ninja world, but he has always been late. Uchiha Obito, he was late. Nohara Lin, he was late too. He was also late when Kushina was in labor. Thinking of this, Uchiha Suke's embarrassment of fighting for his love faded away. No matter how you look at it, Kushina following him is definitely better than Namikaze Minato. Yes, it is like that. After Kushina's breathing stabilized, Uchiha Suke left here quietly. Hokage building. After Namikaze Minato finished reporting her work, she looked out the window blankly, feeling a little dazed. That direction is where Kushina currently lives. At this time, Namikaze Minato's thoughts were all taken away by the scene of meeting Kushina in the morning. Thinking back to the scenes in the morning, Namikaze Minato felt an unknown irritation in her heart. He seemed to understand what was happening, but he didn't know what was going on. Sarutobi Hiruzen quickly noticed something strange about Namikaze Minato and asked with concern. Minato, what happened? Namikaze Minato came to his senses immediately after hearing the echo and said respectfully. Hokage-sama, I have nothing to do. You don't seem to be in a good state of mind, Minato. Maybe, I'm too tired during this period. Namikaze Minato subconsciously told a lie. For more than a year, Namikaze Minato has been running on various fronts without feeling tired, but at this moment he felt deeply tired. Namikaze Minato was disgusted with the war for the first time, and he longed to end the war as soon as possible. Even thinking about it. If the war is over, maybe everything will go back to normal. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't think much about it. Namikaze Minato was indeed exhausted during these days. However, the results are also extremely significant. Namikaze Minato's reputation in Konoha is now at its peak, and it has gradually begun to surpass Orochimaru. I believe that before long, even if Orochimaru still has thoughts about the position of Hokage, he will be unable to revolving heaven. There are even now calls for Namikaze Minato to be the next Hokage instead of Orochimaru. Sarutobi Hiruzen is happy to see this situation. Minato, no matter how hard you work, this is the last time. When the war is over, you will be the next generation of Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen solemnly said that this was the first time that he informed Namikaze Minato of his promise to serve as Hokage in person. Namikaze Minato was perked up after hearing this, and looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen in disbelief. I? Hokage? Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled gently. Well, Hokage, the fourth generation Hokage of Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen said, looking out the window, his eyes containing some emotions that Namikaze Minato couldn't understand. After some heart-to-heart talk, Namikaze Minato regained his fighting spirit like a chicken blood, and seriously took over the new mission from Sarutobi. Then, he started running around Konoha to gather the ninjas who were going to the front line this time. Now Konoha has entered a full-scale war. Konoha is at war with Rock Shinobi Village, Cloud Shinobi Village, and Mist Shinobi Village at the same time, which is extremely stressful. Konoha must quickly deal with the threat from Rock Shinobi Village so that they can focus on fighting Cloud Shinobi Village. While the Kiri Shinobi are still watching, fight off the Cloud Shinobi Village. Time was of the essence, and Namikaze Minato did not stay in Konoha long. Coupled with Kushina's abnormality, Namikaze Minato even had the idea of escaping Konoha. When Minato and his party left Konoha, they did not find a figure on the tower inside Konoha's gate. This person silently had a panoramic view of the entire process of their departure. And behind him, a round fan with red top and white bottom marks his identity. Chapter 011. Konoha Gate. Just when Uchiha Suke was about to leave, a slightly hoarse voice suddenly appeared in his ears. Suke-kun, is this child the Uchiha Obito you mentioned? What Orochimaru is interested in is not Uchiha Suke itself, but what Uchiha Suke knows. He was curious, could Uchiha Suke really see the future and the past? Understanding that Orochimaru had no ill intentions towards him, Uchiha Suke quickly regained his composure and did not deny it. Yes, Orochimaru-sama, he is the Uchiha Obito I call him. Looks like just an ordinary Uchiha tribesman. Does he have what I want? Orochimaru is very puzzled. Uchiha Obito looks too ordinary. It can even be said to be mediocre and stupid. But his personality is very similar to that of one of his friends, Jiraiya. He hates such stupid people. Uchiha Suke did not refute Orochimaru's question, but followed Orochimaru's words. Yet, who would have thought that an ordinary kid from the Uchiha tribe could make such a big wave in the future? If Uchiha Obito's identity hadn't been exposed in the end, who would have thought that a very humble ninja would bring such a big change to the ninja world? Orochimaru became even more interested when he heard this. Jijun said that, I'm quite looking forward to it. I hope it can add a little flavor to the ordinary and unremarkable life. Uchiha Suke looked back at Orochimaru but did not answer. Lord Orochimaru, do you plan to follow me? If you miss it, you will miss a lot of interesting things. Orochimaru made no comment. Since he is already interested, Orochimaru will naturally not miss it, but he is not in a hurry now. Oh, by the way, would you like to go out with me, Mr. G? Although you have seen it, don't you want to see it with your own eyes? Orochimaru said as a light flashed under his eyes with a different look. Uchiha Suke's mouth twitched at Orochimaru's reaction. Snakes are really suspicious creatures. But thinking about it on the other hand, Uchiha Suke would be surprised if Orochimaru really believed him completely. Uchiha Suke didn't mind leaving Konoha. Orochimaru-sama, if you can help me leave Konoha, I will certainly be grateful. Orochimaru Venian smiled and didn't say yes or no. Uchiha Suke didn't ask either. Everything is left unsaid. Not long after, a piece of paper appeared in front of Uchiha Suke. Uchiha Suke has since been transferred from the Konoha Guard and became Lord Orochimaru's personal guard. Sarutobi Hiruzen was a little suspicious when he knew Orochimaru wanted Uchiha Suke, but he didn't get stuck. Sarutobi Hiruzen did not tell Orochimaru about changing the next Hokage. But Orochimaru is not stupid, just because he doesn't mention it doesn't mean he doesn't know. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't know what Orochimaru thought about this matter. Anyway, he always believed that he owed Orochimaru, so he naturally responded to Orochimaru's trivial matters. As a result, Uchiha Suke soon became Orochimaru's bodyguard. Uchiha Suke didn't expect Orochimaru to move so quickly. However, the day before Uchiha Suke and Orochimaru left, an unexpected person shows up at Uchiha Suke's home. Sister Mikoto. Uchiha Suke looked at the figure suddenly arriving at the door, a little surprised, and spoke almost instinctively. Sister Mikoto, why are you here? Uchiha Mikoto looked a little flustered and asked directly without greeting Uchiha Suke. Suke, how did you become Orochimaru-sama's subordinate? Uchiha Suke became even more confused after hearing this. Sister Mikoto, Orochimaru is the legendary Sunin, a disciple of the Hokage. I can become Master Orochimaru's disciple. Shouldn't Sister Mikoto be happy for me? Unexpectedly, Uchiha Mikoto became even more anxious after hearing this. Gee, how did you become Orochimaru-sama's subordinate? Don't you know how fierce the war is now? Orochimaru-sama, as the backbone of Konoha, will definitely go to the front line. At that time, wouldn't you, as Orochimaru's subordinate, also have to facing danger? You are young. No, I'll find a way for you to return to the Konoha guards. Look at Uchiha Mikoto whose tone is full of concern. No matter how stupid Uchiha Suke is, he understands now that Uchiha Miyuchi has not forgotten him. Suddenly many memories from the past appeared in front of his eyes, and when they were connected, many things that Uchiha Suke couldn't understand before suddenly became clear. No wonder I can always be a little transparent and serve in the Konoha Guard. No wonder I was not pushed to the front line even though the 3 battles were so fierce and anxious. It turns out, all this was secretly helped by Mikoto-san. Uchiha Suke has never seen Uchiha Mikoto since Uchiha Mikoto got married, and thought that Uchiha Mikoto had forgotten him. Unexpectedly, although Uchiha Mikoto never came to see him again, he never left Uchiha's care. Now he has become Orochimaru's subordinate, and Uchiha Mikoto is desperate to find him. At this moment, Uchiha Suke felt warm in his heart. Before traveling, no one paid attention to him. After traveling through time and becoming an orphan, Uchiha Suke thought that no one in this world cared about him. The appearance of Uchiha Mikoto was like a ray of sunshine in the darkness, making him feel the pulse of his heart for the first time. At the same time, Uchiha Suke didn't know why, but also thought of Kushina. Although Kushina was always crying and scolding him, Uchiha Suke also felt absurdly that Kushina was worried about him. The look in Mikoto-san's eyes was very similar. Although the beginning of this worry was not very glorious, it did make Uchiha Suke feel that others care. Uchiha Suke even thought that maybe this was another reason why Uchiha Fugaku hated him. Feeling the concern of Uchiha Mikoto in front of him, Uchiha Suke slowly lowered his head, an elusive light flashed in his eyes. Uchiha Fugaku. This moment, no one knows what Uchiha Suke is thinking. Chapter 012. Perhaps from the moment Uchiha Suke opened Manjiki, Uchiha Suke changed. This change not only revives memories. Taking a deep breath, Uchiha Suke forced down the distracting thoughts in his heart, and put on a simple smile when he raised his head. Just like when he was with Uchiha Mikoto many years ago. Don't worry, Sister Mikoto. You also know that Orochimaru-sama loves scientific research. I became Orochimaru's subordinate just to help him organize information, find materials, and assist in research. Mikoto-sama, you also know my strength. Although I have become Orochimaru-sama's subordinate, I am more like a clerk and will not go to the battlefield. Uchiha Mikoto doesn't know Orochimaru very well, but she trusts her brother Uchiha Suke. But even so, Uchiha Mikoto still hesitated, is this really the case? Of course. Uchiha Suke still smiled. Looking at each other for a moment, Uchiha Mikoto, although still a little doubtful, finally chose to believe Uchiha Suke. Gee, then you must be careful. Life is the most important. As long as a person is alive, it is more important than anything else. Uchiha Suke didn't want Uchiha Mikoto to know too much, so he just agreed with a smile. Well, I understand. Even if it's for Sister Mikan, I will definitely try my best to survive. Next, Uchiha Mikoto talked a lot and talked about some interesting things that happened when they were children. Finally, Uchiha Mikoto also helped Uchiha Suke clean the room. In fact, Uchiha Suke's room is not messy. On the contrary, it is extremely simple with very few things. However, Uchiha Mikoto still helped Uchiha Suke clean and make it spotless. Even Uchiha Mikoto wanted to stay and cook a meal for Uchiha Suke, just like before. However, in the end, Yubo Mikoto did not stay, and she was called away by the guards of the Uchiha clan. As the footsteps gradually faded away, Uchiha Suke's hut became deserted and silent again. Outside the door, Uchiha Suke looked at Uchiha Mikoto's retreating back. The idea in his heart became clearer and clearer, and he whispered softly from time to time. You, Shiha Fugaku, Uchiha. Fugaku, Uchiha, Fu. You. If the Tang Shenhuang were here, he would definitely say now, Uchiha Fugaku, you have a recipe for death. After Uchiha Mikoto returned home, he looked at Uchiha Fugaku, who was sitting in the living room with a calm face, a rare look of dissatisfaction on his face. Fugaku, I just went to see my brother. What do you mean by calling me back in such a hurry? After getting married, Uchiha Mikoto has always played the role of a good wife and mother. She knew that Uchiha Fugaku didn't like Uchiha Suke, so even though she missed Uchiha Suke very much, she always endured it and tried to avoid meeting Uchiha Suke. She didn't want to cause trouble. This time Uchiha Mikoto couldn't help but go to see Uchiha Suke, because caring leads to chaos. Unexpectedly, she only went to meet Uchiha Suke for a short time. Uchiha Fugaku actually sent someone to find her and specifically told her to go back. Uchiha Fugaku's face was expressionless, as if he didn't have any emotional fluctuations, and he looked at Uchiha Mikoto indifferently. You also said he is just a younger brother. Uchiha Mikoto became even more angry when he heard this. This was the first time she was angry after getting married. She was not good at words, so she picked up the little Uchiha Itaka beside her and walked straight into the guest room. She expressed her dissatisfaction through actions. Uchiha Fugaku didn't care at all, he just glanced at it and then looked away. He himself has little sense of physical desire, and marrying a wife is more for the purpose of procreation. Coupled with the recent tense war, Uchiha Fugaku focused most of his attention on the war in Konoha. During this period, many members of the Uchiha clan died, and the situation in Konoha was also quite bad. It just so happened that he also wanted to be alone and calm down. What happened next, Uchiha Suke doesn't know. Day 2. Uchiha Suke left Konoha with the disguised Orochimaru without notifying anyone. Sarutobi Hiruzen was worried about Orochimaru going to the front line, but Orochimaru left Konoha and Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't find it. As for Uchiha Suke's departure, no one has to worry about it. The Uchiha clan doesn't even care if Uchiha Suke is alive or not. In their eyes, Uchiha Suke is just busy for Orochimaru. After leaving Konoha, Uchiha Suke and Orochimaru were traveling quickly through the trees. Namikaze Minato led Konoha's reinforcements and baggage to the front line. The strength of the ninjas inside was uneven, and the speed was naturally not much faster. But Orochimaru and Uchiha Suke are different. After Uchiha Suke activates Manjiki, his strength is infinitely close to cage level, and his speed is naturally not comparable to that of Namikaze Minato with a drag bottle. Not to mention Orochimaru, even if Uchiha Suke is moving at full speed, he can always follow Uchiha Suke leisurely. Soon the two of them left the scope of the Country of Fire and arrived at the core battlefield of the battle between Konoha and Rock Shinobi Village, the Country of Grass. Originally, Uchiha Suke thought Orochimaru would always act with him. Unexpectedly, when they arrived in the country of grass, Orochimaru informed him and left. But before leaving, he left a small white snake on his body. Summoning White Snake. Orochimaru informs Uchiha Suke that he can be contacted through White Snake. Although Orochimaru didn't say anything else, Uchiha Suke quickly understood what Orochimaru meant. This little white snake is not only a communication tool between Uchiha Suke and Orochimaru, but also the eyes Orochimaru left on him. But Uchiha Suke doesn't care, he didn't cheat on Orochimaru anyway. The highest ability is fooled, it is not that you can tell lies. Rather, 9 out of 10 sentences are true, or even all 10 sentences are true. True and false, false and true, you can never guess when a lie will come out. If all 10 sentences were really lies, Uchiha Suke would not have been able to deceive Orochimaru. After Orochimaru left, Uchiha Suke wandered aimlessly in the land of grass. To be honest, this is Uchiha Suke's first time leaving Konoha, and his heart is full of freshness. Everything I saw and heard was novel. Uchiha Suke witnessed the war between Konoha and Rock Shinobi, and the battle between Konoha and Kusanagi. We even saw the battle between Rock Shinobi and Kusanagi. The ninjas of Kusanagi village are like grassroots, standing on the side of Rock Shinobi village for a while, standing on the side of Konoha village for a while, and neither side for a while. Uchiha Suke could only sigh, Kusanin, you really deserve to be a grass nin. Uchiha Suke just watched like a bystander and never took any action. Waiting for news from Orochimaru, waiting for the battle of Mount Kikyo. But, soon, an unusual behavior of the ninjas in Kusunin village attracted Uchiha Suke's attention. The recovery power of Kusanagi, or the medical ninjutsu, is too good and does not meet the strength that Kusanagi village should have. The grass ninja had been seriously injured, but only 2 days later, he was active again on the battlefield. This change reminded Uchiha Suke of someone immediately. My eyes can't help but light up. Chapter 013. In the dense jungle, Uchiha Suke looked at the abnormality that appeared on Kusanagi not far away, and a name immediately appeared in his mind. Uzumaki fragrance. No, it's too early at this time, Uzumaki is probably still young. If I remember correctly, Xiang Liao's mother is still alive, and it was because of this war that she died of stress. It just so happens that the Battle of Platycodon Mountain hasn't broken out yet, why not go to Prairie Village to take a look? Uchiha Suke didn't take the Grass Ninja Village seriously. In a small ninja village like the Grass Ninja Village, the strongest ninja was only Jainin. He might not even have mastered a few high-level ninjutsu. He was completely nothing to worry about. After Uchiha Suke opened Manjiki, he already had cage-level strength. Ordinary cage level, Uchiha Suke can easily kill him with his godly body. This is the power of Manjiki. Not to mention, Sharingan also has passive abilities such as dynamic vision and ninjutsu copying. Uchiha Suke is careful when working with Orochimaru. It's because Orochimaru is too evil. After all, he is one of the few characters active in Buruto-den, and his ninjutsu is even more bizarre. However, in front of the Grass Ninja Village, Uchiha Suke is someone they cannot look up to with Manjiki. Not long after, Uchiha Suke followed several grass ninjas and found the location of the Grass Ninja Village. Then, Uchiha Suke just drove the 3 Tomo Sharingan and entered directly from the entrance of Kusakunin village. On the way, Uchiha Suke met many ninjas from the Grass Ninja Village. However, no one seemed to see Uchiha Suke. There were even many ninjas from the Grass Ninja Village who passed by Uchiha Suke without noticing Uchiha Suke. Uchiha Suke was deeply moved by this sense of ease, like picking something out of a bag. I didn't expect that I need to be extra low-key in Konoha, but I can actually do whatever I want in the Grass Ninja Village. Entering the Grass Ninja Village, Uchiha Suke quickly noticed that many ninjas were moving in the same direction. In addition to a large number of advancing ninjas, there are also many grass ninjas moving away from this direction. Uchiha Suke saw this and had something in his mind. Probably this direction is where the Xiang Phosphorus family is. Uchiha Suke glanced at it and headed directly in this direction, quickly stopping in front of a dilapidated thatched hut. The door of the thatched cottage. Uchiha Suke saw a little girl with red hair at a glance. He was in tatters, like a little beggar, sitting outside the door. Holding her knees with her hands, her little head curled up between her legs, she kept crying. A woman's painful screams and various noisy and vulgar male voices came from inside the door. Hurry up, I'm going to die from the pain, let me go first. Ah, it's really comfortable. The wound healed immediately. It's great. It's a pity that this woman looks so sick. I don't know how long she can use it. What are you afraid of? When this woman dies, won't there still be his daughter? Then let his daughter come, ha 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 ha. This was followed by a woman's exclamations and pleas. Bite me, don't hurt my daughter, let my daughter go, bite me all. Don't hurt my daughter, don't hurt my daughter. However, no matter how the woman shouted, the man ignored her and instead laughed even more arrogantly. Uchiha Suke thought that he was not a good person, but the scene that happened in front of him made Uchiha Suke feel infinite anger in his heart. During this period of time, he has met many grass ninjas. The grass ninjas are like despicable villains who do not understand what a position is and like to bully the weak. In front of powerful ninjas, his attitude is like a humble piece of grass, but in front of weak ones, he is as cruel as a tiger. The grass ninja on the battlefield was submissive, but in this small room, he did all kinds of evil, revealing his disgusting side. Uchiha Suke slowly walked towards the door. At this time, Xiang Lian also noticed Uchiha Suke. Xiang Ling thought that Uchiha Suke was here to bite his mother like those grass ninjas, so he got up and walked towards Uchiha Suke crying. Sir, please bite me, don't bite my mother again, please. Xiang Ling said and stretched out her tiny arms. There were a lot of blue bruises on them. Xiang Phosphorus has not grown up yet and does not yet have the ability to be a mother. The bruises on his body were all bruised when he was mercilessly thrown away by the impatient grass ninja. Uchiha Suke looked at the pitiful Karasa in front of him, and his heart was full of pity. He knelt down and wanted to touch Karasa's head. However, when Uchiha Suke just stretched out his hand, Xiang Glan subconsciously shrank his neck and hit his body back. Uchiha felt even more distressed when she saw Xianglin's reaction. It is not difficult to see that Xiangling's life in Kusaku Ninja Village during this period was extremely miserable. Even when he stretched out his hand, Xiangling mistakenly thought he was going to hit her. When Xianglan felt the gentle palm on her little head, Xianglan was stunned for a moment. How could she not know at this time that she had just misunderstood Uchiha Suke? Uchiha Suke reached out not to pat her or hit her, but to gently stroke her hair. At this moment, Xiang Phosphorus felt like she was wrapped in endless warmth. So warm. Uchiha Suke has been in Kusunan village for so long, and Uchiha Suke is the first person besides her mother to be nice to her. Confused, Xiangling looked up at Uchiha Suke blankly, as if she wanted to completely remember Uchiha Suke's figure in the depths of her mind. Uchiha Suke didn't see the change in Xiangling's eyes. At this time, the door of the thatched house just opened. Several grass ninjas with bloodstains on their bodies were walking out of the room with smiles on their faces. At the same time, there were many seriously injured Kusanagi at the door. They couldn't wait for a long time and couldn't wait to enter. The dazzling sunlight shines into the dark and damp thatched house from outside. Uchiha Suke saw a weak-looking woman on the bed through the gap in the door. Chapter 014. The dark, damp thatched house was extremely dilapidated. There is only one bed and a table. Apart from that, there is nothing. The woman on the bed was wearing tattered clothes. The cuffs and trouser legs had long been torn into pieces and were covered with various bite marks, leaving only the key parts covered by clothes. Even so, the eyes of the woman on the bed were still full of concern. The moment the door opened, she looked closely at Xiang Li. It was as if Xiang Phosphorus was the only oasis in her life. War brings suffering to countless people. But as a member of the Grass Ninja Village, all the dangers faced by the Grass Ninja Village have been transferred to her, a weak woman. Uchiha Suke looked at several strong men who couldn't wait to get in and bite the woman's limbs. He took a few steps forward and blocked the door of the room. The scarlet Mangeki, with an eerie light shining in his eyes. Just stop it all. Uchiha Suke's voice made everyone pause. Uchiha Suke seemed to appear out of thin air. In their previous perception, there was no one at that location. But everyone didn't pay attention. They grinned and raised their heads, disdainfully looking at Uchiha Suke. Who are you, brat? How dare you interfere in my affairs? Don't let him hinder my healing, I'm almost dying of pain. As the only ninjas in the Grass Ninja Village, they have long been used to being arrogant. How can they care about Uchiha Suke? Especially Uchiha Suke's 16 or 17-year-old appearance made them even more contemptuous. How dare you, a little brat, interfere with their adults' affairs? They just think of Uchiha Suke as some fool trying to seek justice. There were violent looks on their faces, and even when the two bad-tempered grass ninjas were talking, they had already arrived in front of Uchiha Suke, reaching out to push Uchiha Suke away. The next second, zheng! A cold light flashed. The outstretched arms of the two grass ninjas in front of Uchiha Suke were cut off entirely. It formed a parabola in the air and finally landed in front of all the grass ninjas. Ah, it hurts me so much. Damn, who the hell are you? Enemy attack! Enemy attack! How dare you attack me? Laozi will kill you today. Although they did not find out when Uchiha Suke took action, when they saw the long knife that Uchiha Suke had pulled out of the scabbard and the blood on the tip of the knife, they immediately understood that it was all done by Uchiha Suke. For a time, all Kusanagi stood on a united front. Damn it, you actually dare to attack us. FK, take action against us for this BCH, come on, brothers. The Kusanagi took out kunai one by one and surrounded Uchiha Suke. Seeing this, Uchiha Suke's face did not change at all, and he did not take these rabble in his eyes at all. Just when he was about to deal with all this garbage in one fell swoop, Uchiha Suke suddenly felt his clothes being pulled. Uchiha Suke looked down and found Xiangling looking at him eagerly. At the same time, the sound of fragrant phosphorus and glutinous rice could be heard in my ears. Brother, please go quickly. I'll help you block them. They just want to bully my mother. You are a good person. After Xiangling finished speaking, his small body stood next to Uchiha Suke. The little face full of tears was replaced by a pair of determined eyes at some point. Bad people, I'm not afraid of you. Seeing this scene, Uchiha Suke was moved in his heart, and a warm smile appeared on his face. This is the first time Uchiha Suke has laughed from the bottom of his heart since he came to this world. After all, his surname is Uchiha, and in terms of facial paralysis, he is no worse than the future Uchiha Suzuki or Kakashi. But at this moment, Uchiha Suke really smiled, and smiled happily. Uchiha Suke reached out and gently stroked Xianglian's head twice. Said in the calmest voice. Xiang Phosphorus, leave everything to me. Close your eyes now. Uchiha Suke said as he put a hand in front of Kosovo's eyes, covering Kosovo's eyes. Xiangling didn't know why, but she was full of trust in the big brother beside her, even though she didn't even know his name. Uchiha Suke rubbed her little head against Uchiha Suke's hand and answered softly. Well, I listened to my brother. After gently rubbing Xianglian's face twice, Uchiha Suke then looked away from Xianglian. The moment he raised his head, the tenderness in Uchiha Suke's eyes disappeared and was replaced by endless coldness. Uchiha Suke said in the coldest tone. You, really deserve to die. Before today, Uchiha Suke always thought that he was in the Hokage ninja world, just like playing a holographic virtual game, and did not have much sense of belonging. Kushina's pregnancy made him start to take a serious look at the world and start thinking. This chance encounter with Uzumaki made him deeply feel the warmth of this world. At this moment, Uchiha Suke felt like he really became Uchiha Suke. Became a ninja from the Uchiha clan in the Hokage ninja world. Uchiha Suke was thinking, the scarlet Sharingan in his eyes burst into even more alluring light. At this moment, all the grass ninjas felt inexplicably that the time in the entire world had slowed down. In other words, the world has slowed down in their eyes. The only sound left in his ears was the sound of the sharp blade slicing through blood vessels and slicing through muscles. When they came to their senses, they found that the world was spinning. Suddenly, they saw their own bodies. The body was shaking erratically, and the head on the body had long since disappeared. This weird scene made the ninjas in Kusanagi village look confused. Is this paradise? Unfortunately, what awaits him is not heaven. After Uchiha Suke put away the knife, he looked at the group of corpses on the ground. He said lightly from the corner of his mouth. Heaven? No, I'm sending you to hell. Cai Phosphorus kept his eyes on his daughter outside the house, and naturally saw the scene of Uchiha Suke killing everyone. Although she didn't know who Uchiha Suke was, Uchiha's actions made her eyes shine. It was like seeing the savior. She and her daughter are in hell, and Uchiha Suke is the one who pulls them out of hell. The sun shines on Uchiha Suke's body, as if giving Uchiha Suke a golden light. The shining golden Uchiha Suke slowly hugged the fragrant phosphorus at her feet. Such a harmonious and beautiful picture is deeply engraved in Cai Phosphorus' mind, making her unforgettable forever. Chapter 015. Moment, Uchiha Suke looked away from the pile of corpses on the ground. Unexpectedly, I am quite suitable for the world of Hokage ninjas. It is obviously my first time to kill people. I don't feel any discomfort at all. On the contrary, there's even a bit of excitement. Uchiha Suke quickly shook his head to suppress this pervert thought. Exhaling a breath, Uchiha Suke entered the house holding Xiangling. Entering the room, the light became significantly brighter, and Uchiha Suke could clearly see the face of the woman on the bed. She is very similar to Xiangling, but much more mature. It's a pity that because he was squeezed by the grass ninja for a long time, his vitality was lost a lot. Although he is clearly 20 years old, he looks like he is in his 30s. There are even a lot of white strands in his red hair. However, it still couldn't hide the beauty of the woman on the bed. After seeing Uchiha Suke enter the room, 8 wanted to sit up from the bed. Unfortunately, I didn't have any strength in my body, so I tried several times before I managed to hold on to the edge of the bed and straighten up. 8 faced Uchiha Suke and spoke incoherently. "Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much." As Cai Phosphorus spoke, there was worry in his eyes that could not be concealed. If the ninjas of the Grass Ninja Village found out that so many people had died because of her, she could not imagine how the Grass Ninja Village would retaliate against her. However, she still has to express her gratitude to Uchiha Suke. Because Uchiha Suke killed these ninjas from Kusanagi village because of her, she knew clearly. Uchiha Suke looked at Cai Phosphorus and asked, "What's your name?" Cai Phosphorus respectfully replied, "Hello, my lord, my name is Ayasu, Uzumaki Ayasu, and this is my daughter Uzumaki Ayasu." When 8 looked at Uchiha Suke, there was a flash of hesitation in his expression. In the end, 8 gritted his teeth and bowed to Uchiha Suke. "Although I know this matter is very troublesome, Cai Phosphorus has a ruthless attitude." Cai Phosphorus paused for a moment, and then saw that Uchiha Suke was not impatient, so she dared to continue. "I hope you can take the little girl away from the Grass Ninja Village." "Well, the little girl is very good. She can serve you and take care of your daily life." If it weren't for Xiang Phosphorus, Cai Phosphorus would have no idea of continuing to live. The only concern in her heart now is Xiang Phosphorus. She didn't expect Uchiha to take her away with him, because she herself felt like a burden. He was seriously injured and it was uncertain whether he would survive or not. She just wants her daughter to live. On the side, Uchiha Suke heard that her mother was about to send him away. He jumped off Uchiha Suke, threw himself to the bedside, grabbed Uchiha Suke's hand, and cried, "Mom, Mom, I don't want to leave you." Cai Ling did not answer Xiangling, but gently stroked Xiangling's head. Afterwards, Cai Phosphorus looked up at Uchiha Suke pleadingly, waiting anxiously for Uchiha Suke's answer. However, Uchiha Suke didn't nod in agreement for a long time. As time passed, Cai Phosphorus seemed to understand something, and an obvious darkness broke out in his eyes. It's like the only light in life has disappeared. However, Cai Phosphorus still forced a smile. "Sorry to trouble you, sir. Thank you for your help." Uchiha Suke looked at Cai Phosphorus with mixed emotions. It was clear that he was in darkness, but he was still thinking about others. He lifted the knife in his hand and put the scabbard away. "Although I didn't promise to leave with fragrant phosphorus, you can leave with fragrant phosphorus. I don't think Xiang Phosphorus wants to lose her mother." Cai Phosphorus was stunned for a moment after hearing this, and did not understand what Uchiha Suke meant. If she had been able to leave with her, she would have left long ago. The question is, how could a weak woman like her leave the Kusanagi village with her? But facing Uchiha Suke's warm smile, Cai Phosphorus suddenly understood what Uchiha Suke meant, and her pupils instantly widened. Uchiha Suke just met Cai Phosphorus's gaze and nodded affirmatively. "Instead of letting me leave with Xiang Phosphorus, why don't you and Xiang Phosphorus leave here with me? I guess you don't want to stay in Prairie Village any longer." Cai Lian thought she heard it wrong because the news was too surprising and too sudden. Happiness is at your fingertips, but it makes Cai Lian hesitate, as if she is afraid that the bubble will be burst. "Sir, can I really do this?" Uchiha Suke shrugged. "The little grass ninja village can't stop me. As long as Uchiha Suke is given time, he can wipe out the entire grass ninja village by himself, regardless of the consumption of pupil power. But, Uchiha Suke has not opened Eternal Mangeki Sharingan yet. I don't want my eyesight to decline significantly because of a small grass ninja village. It would be relatively simple to just leave Kusakunin village with the colored phosphorus and the fragrant phosphorus." After receiving Uchiha Suke's affirmation, Cai Phosphorus would like to continue to thank him. Uchiha Suke smiled and waved his hand. "Okay, do you guys have anything else to pack? If not, we are ready to leave. After Uchiha Suke finished speaking, he looked out the hold window. Just now, Uchiha Suke felt several unfamiliar chakras coming towards their location. It is not difficult to see that the movement just now has attracted the attention of the grass ninja village. Uchiha Suke doesn't want to be stuck with Kusanagi. Although they are not strong, they are as numerous as dogskin plaster. In the future, there will be plenty of opportunities to slowly clean up the grass ninja village. Uchiha Suke had no intention of letting them go so easily, he just wanted to let them live a little longer. Cai Phosphorus had nothing to clean up. There was nothing in the entire shabby thatched house, and most of the time they couldn't even guarantee food. Ayaso also knew that now was not the time to talk, so he tried hard to get out of bed and leave here with Ayaso and Uchiha Suke. However, Cai Phosphorus's life was overdrawn too much. In war situations, Kusanagi village suffered a large number of ninja casualties every day. With continuous losses, Cai Phosphorus is already on the verge of death. If Uchiha Suke appears later, there is a high chance that Iya Phosphorus will not even be seen. After Cai Lun found that she couldn't get up after several attempts, she couldn't help but feel anxious, and there were layers of sweat on her forehead. Seeing this, Xiangling also helped her mother, but she was too young now and couldn't help her mother at all. Even though her mother was already emaciated and boneless. Seeing this, Uchiha Suke smiled and rubbed Karen's head. Protecting your mother should wait until you grow up a little bit, now let me carry your mother on my back first. Uchiha Suke stretched out a hand, ready to support Ai Lien. Ai Phosphorus looked at the hand that appeared in her sight, raised her head and met Uchiha Suke's eyes, her face turned slightly red. It's just that her face is too pale now, and her red color is a bit unnatural. Uchiha Suke didn't give Ai Phosphorus a chance to be reserved. He grabbed Cai Phosphorus and dragged it on his back, placing his hands on the back of Cai Phosphorus' thighs. After getting started, Uchiha Suke found that the colored phosphorus was lighter than imagined. One can imagine how thin the body is under the thin clothes. What makes Uchiha Suke even more distressed is the bite marks all over Ai Phosphorus's limbs. Arriving on Uchiha Suke's back, Ai Phosphorus also discovered the ugly marks on his body, and tried his best to push down his sleeves to cover the bite marks. But her sleeves were already torn and there was no way to cover them. Aide had no choice but to bury her forehead on Uchiha Suke's back, like an ostrich. Uchiha Suke didn't pay attention to these details. After carrying the bell, he picked up Xiangling with his other hand and held Xiangling in her arms. Just like that, Uchiha Suke quickly walked out of the thatched hut with a small phosphorus in front of him and a large phosphorus behind his back. Uchiha Suke said softly as he looked at the figures of several grass ninjas gradually emerging from the corner not far away. Get ready, let's go. Chapter 016. Just left Kusakunin village, Uchiha Suke suddenly heard the sound of the emotional system in his ears. Collect Uzumaki's emotions of excitement, joy, relief, and anticipation. The total emotional value this time is 200 points. The current cumulative emotional value is 70,400 points. Collect Uzumaki's happy, joyful, happy, longing, and infatuated emotions. The total emotional value this time is 500 points, and the current cumulative emotional value is 70,900 points. To be honest, even after a month, Uchiha Suke still hasn't fully figured out his emotional system. It's not like he hasn't tried to collect emotions from other people, but Kushina was the only one who got the emotion value from him. This time is the only time the system prompts other than Kushina. Although the points obtained twice were not many, it gave Uchiha Suke a lot of excitement. After all, if only Kushina can provide emotional value, even if Kushina is broken, Uchiha Suke will not be able to exchange for those high-value items in the emotional mall. The Uzumaki color phosphorus allows Uchiha Suke to see more possibilities. It's just that the system is a bit weird. Could it be that only beautiful women can trigger mood swings? Not a serious system. Soon, Uchiha Suke and his party arrived at a small town on the border of the land of grass, very close to the land of fire. During this time, Uchiha Suke discovered the Hokage ninja world, which was very similar to the ancient Spring and Autumn Sengoku period of Xia Kingdom. The wars during the Spring and Autumn Sengoku period were only related to nobles, and ordinary people were not eligible to join the army and fight. It was not until the end of Sengoku that the war was gradually extended to ordinary people. This is where the time-honored saying comes into being, people suffer when things prosper and when they die, people suffer. It is very similar in the Hokage ninja world. War only exists between ninja villages. The five major powers couldn't reach an agreement, so they let the ninja villages they supported go to war. There is no war in the world of ordinary people, and everyone is still peaceful. No matter how fierce the fight in the ninja world is, ordinary people in the 5 major countries still live their original lives. The daimyo of the Land of Fire also continued to live extravagant, drunken, and dreamy days. The daimyo even publicly condemned Konoha's rising military spending. It's just ridiculous. The town Uchiha Suke found didn't have many residents, only about 20 or 30 households. There are not many people, and Uchiha Suke can easily use illusions to hide the traces of their group. In the small town, Uchiha Suke randomly found an uninhabited courtyard and lived there with Cai Lian and Xiang Lian. The courtyard is quite large, and because it has been unoccupied for a long time, there are many dilapidated areas that need to be cleaned. Brother, will this be our home from now on? Like a little adult, Xiang Phosphorus rolled up his sleeves and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Cai Lian also wanted to help, but her body didn't have any strength, and she was more than willing to do anything. Uchiha Suke brought the fragrant phosphorus, and the two of them got busy inside and outside the house. Well, this section will be our home from now on. Xiang Phosphorus smiled happily and shook her pigtails. With my brother and my mother here, our family can live happily. Listening to the sound of Aoi in his ears, Uchiha Suke felt quite strange. He even glanced at Aai who was sitting quietly under a tree nearby, and an inexplicable thought arose in his mind. This counts as becoming a father before I get married. At first glance, Uchiha Suke and the others look like a family. Anyway, there is no information from Orochimaru yet, so Uchiha Suke is temporarily living here with Yasuo and the others. Outside, Rock Shinobi and Konoha were fighting back and forth. Their small courtyard is full of tranquility and harmony. Uchiha Suke has some savings and has no problem buying food supplies. Besides, he is a ninja, and it is not easy to hunt in an original environment like the Hokage ninja. I had a happy little life. Uchiha Suke also took the opportunity to eat a lot of Noguchi. This is something you can't even eat in Konoha. Uchiha Suke stayed here for several days. Konoha. In a beautifully decorated and quiet restaurant. 2 moving figures sat face to face at a dining table in a corner. Kushina looked at the person in front of her, hesitated for a moment, and finally couldn't help but ask first. Mikoto, do you know where Suke is now? Uchiha Mikoto looked at Kushina in front of him with a surprised expression. To be honest, she hadn't seen Kushina for a while. Uchiha Mikoto was very surprised by Kushina's current gentle and peaceful appearance. It was completely different from the appearance of Kushina in her memory. However, what shocked Uchiha Mikoto even more was what Kushina said to her. Suke? Could it be that the Suke you are talking about is my former brother, Uchiha Suke? Yes. Kushina lowered her head in embarrassment, her voice soft. Uchiha Mikoto was even more shocked now. Kushina actually spoke in such a tone. Kushina's appearance changed drastically before his eyes, making Uchiha Mikoto feel a bit dreamy. Kushina didn't pay much attention to this, or in other words, she didn't even realize that such a big change had happened to her. At this moment, all she thinks about is Uchiha Suke. She hadn't seen Uchiha Suke for a long time, and originally thought that Uchiha Suke was embarrassed to see her. Until Kushina accidentally learned that Uchiha Suke became Orochimaru's subordinate, she suddenly panicked. She didn't know why Uchiha Suke became Orochimaru's subordinate, but she knew that Uchiha Suke must have become Orochimaru's subordinate because of her pregnancy. After not seeing Uchiha Suke for so long, she couldn't help but worry about Uchiha Suke's safety. Kushina thought and subconsciously touched her flat belly. Kushina and Uchiha Mikoto have a good relationship and have been best friends for a long time. A long time ago, she heard Uchiha Mikoto say that she had a younger brother named Uchiha Suke. At first Kushina did not connect the Uchiha Suke she knew with the Uchiha Suke Mikoto said. However, now she really couldn't find Uchiha Suke and had no choice, so she found Uchiha Mikoto. Kushina thought, even if the two Uchiha Suke are not the same person, Uchiha Mikoto is also the wife of the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, and it shouldn't be a problem to find out about Uchiha Suke. Kushina was so concerned that she didn't notice the change on Mikoto's face. She also didn't realize how much her asking about Uchiha Suke had shocked Uchiha Mikoto. Mikoto, I know this is troublesome for you, but I really can't find any other way to find Uchiha Suke. Kushina didn't know what she was thinking, but when she thought about Ji's whereabouts, she felt particularly flustered. Although Uchiha Mikoto is confused as to why Kushina cares about Uchiha Suke. But when it comes to Uchiha Suke, her thoughts are more about Uchiha Suke. Chapter 017. A moment of silence, Uchiha Mikoto glanced out the window. Kushina, actually, I don't know where Ji is now. I only know that he was following Orochimaru on a certain mission. Uchiha Mikoto is no less worried than Kushina. Ah, is that so? Kushina was a little disappointed, but then she cheered up. I know, thank you very much anyway, Mikoto. Next, Kushina and Uchiha Mikoto looked at each other, not knowing what to say for a long time, or they were thinking about their own things. During this period, Uchiha Mikoto looked at Kushina and hesitated several times. In the end, she let out a soft sigh. She actually wanted to ask Kushina why she had an intersection with Uchiha Suke. In her opinion, no matter who Kushina asked, it was impossible to ask for information about Uchiha Suke. In everyone's eyes, Kushina and Namikaze Minato are a couple. And with Kushina's character, it's impossible to have anything to do with Uchiha Suke. However, Uchiha Mikoto looked at Kushina, whose personality had undergone a huge change, and was a little unsure for a moment whether something had happened between Kushina and Uchiha Suke. There was even an incredible idea that came to her mind. Of course, as soon as this idea came up, Uchiha Mikoto killed it. No way, it's impossible. If someone said on the streets of Konoha at this time, Uchiha Suke and Kushina are related, I believe everyone will regard it as a joke and no one will believe it. It's like a poor boy on the street saying that he's getting married to a European princess. It's absolutely impossible. After Kushina was silent for a moment, the smile soon returned to her face. Although she was worried about Uchiha Suke, she knew that her current relationship with Uchiha Suke could not be made public. If leaked, it would definitely bring danger to Uchiha Suke. She doesn't want Uchiha Miyuchi to know about her relationship with Uchiha Suke, or she doesn't want anyone to know about his relationship with Uchiha Suke. Although the two are best friends, they haven't seen each other for a while, or it could be said that the contact between the two began to gradually decrease a month ago. However, the two are good best friends after all. After experiencing the initial unfamiliarity, the two soon became familiar with each other. But Mikoto was a little confused as to why Kushina always asked about how to take care of children. On the surface, Uchiha Mikoto and Kushina were chatting happily, but both of them knew that their minds were not on the chat. Kushina didn't know that the Uchiha Mikoto in front of her was thinking of the same person as her. The date ended in a hurry, and Kushina returned to her home disappointed. Lying on the bed, Kushina was looking out the window, murmuring softly, and her eyes drifting into the distance. Uchiha Suke, where have you been? Uchiha Mikoto returned home with the same question in his mind. Seeing that Uchiha Fugaku had just returned from training with Uchiha Itachi, a trace of anger flashed through his heart, and he carried Uchiha Itachi directly to the guest room. Uchiha Fugaku looked confused. He didn't know how he provoked Uchiha Mikoto. A few days ago, he thought Uchiha Mei was angry, but it took a few days for him to get rid of it. Unexpectedly, since he got angry that day, Uchiha Mikoto has never been with him again, and has been with Itachi. Watching Uchiha Mikoto's back disappear into the depths of the room, Uchiha Fugaku's mouth twitched, but he quickly returned to calmness. He walked to the study alone and began to check the information coming from the front line these days. Originally, Uchiha Fugaku didn't feel anything. But when he read the message for a long time and was about to drink water, he found that the cup was empty and the room was filled with air conditioning. At this time, Uchiha Fugaku suddenly realized that something was missing around him. Looking at the cup in his hand blankly, he picked it up and put it down and picked it up again, repeating this 3 or 4 times in a row. Then it dawned on me. It turns out that the water in the teacup is not infinite. Realizing this, Uchiha Fugaku couldn't stand the message anymore. He leaned back against the wall, looking up at the ceiling blankly, wondering what he was thinking. However, it is impossible for Uchiha Fugaku to admit his mistake. As the leader of the Uchiha clan, how could he do anything wrong? Uchiha Fugaku snorted softly, patted his face, braced himself, and continued to hold the file and start looking at it. Soon, Uchiha Fugaku focused on the information in his hand. The fighting on Konoha's front line is getting more and more intense. Especially the rock shinobi village side. Uchiha Fugaku gradually focused his attention on the map in the message. The red note there circles a location, the country of grass. The country of grass, small water town. Brother, I'm here, come and catch me and mom in a courtyard, a cheerful and childish voice floated from a distance. Xiangling smiled and looked at the figure in the center of the yard, the happiness in his eyes almost overflowing. At this time, Uchiha Suke was wearing a blindfold, his hands stretched out in front of him, groping around like a blind man, with a vicious expression on his mouth. "Don't be complacent, let me catch you and see how hard I play your brains out." Who would have thought that Uchiha Suke, as the owner of the Uchiha clan, the three major pupil arts clan, and Manjiki, would now be blindfolded here catching chickens? Ai Phosphorus looked at Uchiha Suke and her daughter helplessly. She had no idea that the powerful Uchiha Suke would dote on her daughter so much and play such childish games with her daughter. Even she was forced to join in. This kind of game is too. When Cai Ling was distracted, he didn't notice Xiang Ling approaching him with a wicked smile on his face. After she came to her mother again, she shouted excitedly, "Brother, brother, I'm here, come and catch me, loyal loyal loyal." Uchiha Suke heard the voice, how could he let go of Xiang Phosphorus? He turned around and rushed towards the direction of the sound. By the time Cai Lien came to his senses, it was already too late. A black shadow jumped directly in front of her and hugged her fiercely. Uchiha Suke originally thought that what he was holding was fragrant phosphorus, so he didn't pay much attention to it. But, as soon as I bought it, I immediately felt different. It is soft, as if touching jelly, and extremely elastic. Almost at the same moment, Cai Phosphorus' face flushed and turned red, and she let out a hum involuntarily. Originally, Uchiha Suke was still thinking about what he touched, until he heard this voice and immediately understood. But the hands are strong. Chapter 018. Under the warm sunshine, the small courtyard is particularly warm. The handsome young man and the blushing beautiful woman are like the beauty of an oil painting. Uchiha Suke not only grabbed it, but didn't let go after grabbing it, and he didn't even take off his blindfold. As long as I didn't see it and didn't expose the embarrassment, this matter wouldn't be embarrassing. During the period of recuperation in Xiaoshui town, Ai Phosphorus allowed Uchiha Suke to see the power of life force of the Uzumaki clan. In less than a week, Cai Lun's wounds were not only completely healed, but all traces were gone. Thanks to Uchiha Suke's hard work, Uzumaki Ayasu gained weight. To be more precise, Cai Phosphorus returned to her original appearance. Uchiha Suke was surprised. At that time, the sick beauty seemed to collapse at the slightest wind, but she turned out to have such a gorgeous side after she recovered. Maybe it's because she was born in Aoi, but the mature charm of Aoi is far beyond what Kushina can compare with. In Uchiha Suke's heart, only Uchiha Mikoto can compare. This gave Uchiha Suke a different thought about Ai Phosphorus, and the figure of Ai Phosphorus in his heart gradually began to overlap with the figure of Sister Mikoto. However, Uchiha Suke did not do anything to Ai Phosphorus during this time. Uchiha Suke knew that on this occasion, even if he wanted to do something, Ai Phosphorus would not refuse. However, Uchiha Suke always feels like he is repaying his kindness. The game to this day brought the relationship between the two closer instantly. Xiangling saw her brother and mother hugging each other and covered her face with her hands. But this occlusion is full of fun, because when Xiang Phosphorus covers her eyes, her fingers spread apart. It only covers the face, not the eyes. At the same time, he shouted like a brat. "Wow, my brother and my mother are hugging each other. I am a child and I can't see. You can continue to hug me. I don't see anything. I can't see anything." Although they haven't been together for long, Uchiha Suke is very dependent on Uchiha Suke. The best thing in her heart is her mother, and she wants her mother to share her mother with her brother. Ai reacted immediately when she heard Kairin's voice and reached out to push Uchiha Suke away. But she used force and did not push Uchiha Suke away. At this time, why didn't Uchiha Suke understand that this was the opportunity Xiangling created for himself? While some lamented that girls in the Hokage ninja world mature early, Uchiha Suke lamented even more about the beautiful figure of Ai Phosphorus. Maybe it's because they are from the Uzumaki clan. Uzumaki Ai Phosphorus exudes a strong fragrance with the same vitality as Kushina, which is a fatal temptation for Uchiha Suke. Or maybe it was because Uchiha Suke had been too indulgent with Kushina when they were in Konoha the previous month. Uchiha Suke has long been unable to leave that feeling. Now that he has been away from Konoha for so long, and with the news of Kushina's pregnancy, Uchiha Suke can't help but feel a little distraught now that he is holding Uzumaki 8. He simply didn't let go of Cai Phosphorus, and instead the probe narrowed the distance between Cai Phosphorus and Cai Phosphorus. Said softly in Cai Phosphorus's ear. "Cai Lien, I caught you, how do you want me to punish you? The hot air hit Ayaso's ears, Uzumaki Ayaso's face turned red, and his body began to weaken involuntarily. In a daze, Cai Lien lowered his head and hesitated. Cai Phosphorus, Cai Phosphorus, let Mr. G punish you. Since the day Uchiha Suke rescued Uzumaki Ai Phosphorus, Uchiha Suke has become the most important person in Ai Phosphorus's eyes. At this time, let alone Uchiha Suke punishing her. Whatever you ask her to do, she will try her best to do it. Not to mention her daughter Xiangling, who also admires Uchiha Suke. Uzumaki's voice was like a kitten, hitting Uchiha Suke's neck, instantly tickling Uchiha Suke's heart. The sound of Ai Phosphorus is very nice, and Uchiha Suke likes it very much. Certainly, it would be better if this sound appeared while writing. However, at this moment, a playful voice suddenly appeared in the courtyard. Jejun, I seem to have come, maybe it's not the right time. Hearing the unfamiliar voice, Uzumaki Ai Phosphorus quickly broke away from Uchiha Suke's arms like a frightened little rabbit. He ran to Xianglu's side, picked up Xiang Lu, and tapped Xianglu's forehead hard. The fragrant phosphorus is obviously small, but why are there so many bad ideas? After only a week, I was freed from the previous shadow and released my true nature. Hearing Orochimaru's voice, Uchiha Suke felt a little embarrassed, but he didn't show it. I just felt sorry for the feeling just now. Then, Uchiha Suke turned in the direction of Orochimaru, and at the same time calmly took off the blindfold from his eyes, and looked at Orochimaru with a look of helplessness. Lord Orochimaru, you really came at the wrong time. Ai Phosphorus, who was not far away, blushed even more when she heard Uchiha Suke's voice. She lowered her head and did not dare to look at Uchiha Suke. Xiang Phosphorus was not afraid of big troubles. She looked left and right in her mother's arms. He even whispered into his mother's ear. Mom, Mom, how did it feel to be hugged by Brother G just now? Orochimaru didn't pay attention to Uchiha Suke's tone and looked Uchiha Suke up and down twice. He hadn't noticed before that Uchiha Suke was obsessed with the love between children at such a young age. He only went out for a few days, and Uchiha Suke had a small home. Unexpectedly, Uchiha Suke likes wives. After a long time, Orochimaru said seriously. Jejun, being obsessed with animal mating will not only consume a lot of energy, but also take up a lot of time. I know, but it will be fun. Uchiha Suke said. Orochimaru was stunned for a moment when he heard this. Cool? Isn't mating just for the purpose of reproducing offspring? Even if there is a feeling of pleasure, reproduction is to motivate living creatures, and there is a special reward mechanism. Uchiha Suke nodded, indeed. If you look at the results alone, animals mate only for reproduction. However, Uchiha Suke believes that the process is equally important, or that the process is more important. Orochimaru is a bit puzzling. Uchiha Suke clearly knows, why is he still addicted? Orochimaru couldn't understand that his current physical preference was similar to that of snakes. Most snakes mate only once in their lives, so how can they understand it? What does it feel like for someone like Uchiha Suke who is in heat every day? Uchiha Suke is happy to discuss this issue with Orochimaru. Lord Orochimaru, you can think of mating as scientific research, just like your pursuit of truth. Do you value the final truth more, or the process of pursuing the truth? Orochimaru was really stunned now. He is indeed obsessed with pursuing the truth of all things. However, he really hasn't thought about it yet. What he likes is the truth and mastering everything. Or, the process of exploring and pursuing the truth. But it was Orochimaru, and he quickly regained his composure. Just looking at Uchiha Suke, there was something different in the snake eyes. Jejun, you are not very old, but you have brought me many surprises. Maybe, Uchiha Suke shrugged. Then the two of them looked at each other and smiled, then brought the topic to light. Ai Phosphorus doesn't know who Orochimaru is, but seeing the close relationship between Uchiha Suke and Orochimaru, he guesses that Orochimaru should be Uchiha Suke's friend. After the initial embarrassment, Cai Phosphorus serves tea like a hostess. Orochimaru didn't pay attention, but he was full of curiosity about the physiques of Uzumaki Ai Phosphorus and Xiang Phosphorus. He could tell at a glance that the two of them were members of the Uzumaki clan. Although Orochimaru was curious about how Uchiha Suke found the two of them, he had no other ideas. After what happened just now, Uchiha Suke's status in Orochimaru's heart has quietly increased. Even Orochimaru himself didn't know when he had put Uchiha Suke on the same level as himself. even though he hasn't seen the gift Uchiha Suke was talking about yet. Perhaps, at this time, it no longer matters whether you see the gift or not. After preparing the refreshments, Ai Lun took Xiangling back to the room, leaving the yard to Uchiha Suke. Soon, Uchiha Suke and Orochimaru were the only two people left in the courtyard. Neither of them spoke, they just drank tea quietly and ate the cakes made by Cai Phosphorus. A long time, Orochimaru put down the cup, looked at the fallen leaves outside the yard and said leisurely. Jijun, I think the specific war you mentioned is about to begin. The Battle of Platikodon Mountain. Uchiha Suke asked. Orochimaru was only slightly surprised by Uchiha Suke's prediction, but he didn't show it. Even Orochimaru thought this was natural, stuck out his tongue and licked his lips, smiling. It seems that Mr. G did see something. I am full of expectations for this battle. Chapter 019. In the small courtyard, Uchiha Suke and Orochimaru continued chatting. Suddenly, Uchiha Suke seemed to think of something and turned to look at Orochimaru, feeling a little curious. Orochimaru-sama, what are you busy with these days? Orochimaru disappeared not just in a day or two, but for more than a week. He couldn't just be waiting for the so-called war to start. Of course, Uchiha Suke also speculated that Orochimaru may have a research laboratory nearby and is conducting some research these days. In fact, Uchiha Suke just asked casually and did not expect Orochimaru to answer him. Orochimaru paused and spoke rarely. I've been near Konoha's camp these days. Konoha camp? Are you surprised? Orochimaru said amusedly. I'm a little surprised. In my mind, Orochimaru-sama shouldn't be interested in these things. Uchiha Suke couldn't deny it. Before, I was really not interested, but some things that originally belonged to you no longer belong to you, and you will always feel a little unhappy, right? Orochimaru did not refute. Hearing this, Uchiha Suke knew that Orochimaru was not looking at the Konoha camp, he was clearly going to see Namikaze Minato. However, after hearing this, Uchiha Suke also became interested. Orochimaru-sama, do you have any ideas about that position? Isn't this position just like mating? It will take up a lot of time and energy. Getting rid of this position. Shouldn't Orochimaru-sama be happy? After Uchiha Suke finished speaking, a bright light flashed in his eyes. Ji-kun, what you said is correct. I should indeed feel happy. I should. Orochimaru's eyes narrowed unconsciously, and his slender snake eyes became particularly cold. Actually, I'm more curious about what Orochimaru-sama has been seeing in the Konoha camp these days. What caused such a big change in Orochimaru-sama? Orochimaru doesn't see the need to hide this. I met with Namikaze Minato and also took a look at the ninjas on the front line. Unexpectedly, my former subordinates have begun to trust Namikaze Minato as the leader. As much as I hate to admit it, Namikaze Minato is indeed better at some things than me. Orochimaru's eyes flashed with memories. These days Namikaze Minato is doing everything on the front lines and doing everything to the ultimate, something Orochimaru couldn't do before. Moreover, Namikaze Minato is extremely friendly to his subordinates, as close as a family. As everyone described, Namikaze Minato is the sunshine in everyone's heart. Even though the situation in Konoha is extremely bad now, the fighting spirit of all the ninjas in Konoha is extremely high. That is to say, Orochimaru has not experienced 996 and 007, otherwise he would definitely say that Namikaze Minato is too curly. Uchiha Suke was silent for a moment, then picked up the teacup in his hand, leaned on the back chair behind him, and said meaningfully. Did Orochimaru-sama just give up? This is not like the Orochimaru-sama I remember. Uchiha Suke finished speaking and looked at Orochimaru again. Orochimaru seemed to let go of his reserve, imitating Uchiha Suke, picking up a cup of tea and drinking it. What can I do if I don't give up? A trace of indescribable loss flashed in Orochimaru's eyes, and it was obvious that he didn't mean what he said. If he is also on the front line, even if he is not as good as Namikaze Minato, he will definitely not be worse than Namikaze Minato. Moreover, in his opinion, Namikaze Minato's wrist was too soft. If it were him, he would be able to capture Rock Shinobi village faster and reduce more casualties. But, Orochimaru glanced in the direction of Konoha. The situation in Konoha is so serious now that his teacher is actually guarding against him. It was as if he was worried that he would take away the credit from Namikaze Minato and take away Namikaze Minato's Hokage. However, that Hokage position originally belonged to him. Actually, if Sarutobi Hiruzen had told Orochimaru earlier, or explained his thoughts to Orochimaru openly and honestly. Orochimaru may not be unable to accept it and voluntarily withdraws from the election of Hokage, just like Jiraiya. The three of them are actually not very interested in the Hokage position. But Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't say anything and just guarded against him. Every time he thinks about this, Orochimaru feels extremely irritable. Orochimaru didn't know why he revealed his feelings to Uchiha Suke. In fact, these things were unnecessary. The top management of Konoha has reached a consensus that as soon as the war is over, Namikaze Minato will become the next generation of Hokage with the help of everyone. Unexpectedly, Uchiha Suke sat up straight, leaning forward slightly, looking closely at Orochimaru. Lord Orochimaru, if you want, I can help you get what's yours. Orochimaru was stunned for a moment, seemingly not understanding what Uchiha Suke was saying. What did you get back? Is he going to get something back? Although he didn't want to admit it, the moment Orochimaru heard Uchiha Suke's words, two words flashed in his mind. Hokage. Yes, he doesn't value the position of Hokage, but it belongs to him. Orochimaru has never had the idea of humility and has never taken any action. It can only be said that there is a fuse missing. In other words, Orochimaru is evading, and his subconscious has been avoiding this problem. And now, Uchiha Suke's words were like a devil whispering in his ears, making Orochimaru's eyes flash with hatred. This hatred disappeared in a flash, as if it had never appeared. Then Orochimaru muttered to himself, as if talking to himself. It's really an interesting thing. If he doesn't give me something that originally belongs to me, then I will take it myself. At this moment, Orochimaru looked a bit like an angry child. Does Orochimaru care about Hokage? He doesn't care at all. However, he wants to prove himself and prove his teacher wrong. Then, Orochimaru looked at Uchiha Suke. Jijun, do you have any thoughts on this? Uchiha Suke smiled mysteriously, pointed at his eyes, and said nothing more. Orochimaru-sama, have you forgotten the power of my eyes? The future is in my eyes. If I want Konoha to win, I can let Konoha win. If I want Konoha to lose, then he can't win. And we just need to do the right thing at the right time. Even if the third generation is reluctant, the position of Hokage will only belong to Orochimaru-sama. Orochimaru did not express his position, but looked at Uchiha Suke silently, as if he did not hear what Uchiha Suke said just now. After a long time, Orochimaru looked at Uchiha Suke and asked. Then, Jijun, what do you want to gain? Although Orochimaru has recognized Uchiha Suke in his heart, he does not think that Uchiha Suke is helping him out of good intentions. Uchiha Suke's complex Sharingan eyes are full of something called ambition. He was familiar with them because they were the same kind of people. Uchiha Suke didn't hide anything, spread his hands and said directly and aboveboard. That power. Chapter 020. In the sound of wind chimes, Uchiha Suke said, with a strange light shining in his eyes. Orochimaru met Uchiha Suke's fiery gaze and was stunned again. Out of the corner of his eye, he subconsciously glanced at the small courtyard where Uchiha Suke was. First women, then power. Orochimaru looked at Uchiha Suke dumbfounded. Jijun is really a vulgar person. If Orochimaru didn't have much enthusiasm for Hokage before, most of the reason was because of Hokage's responsibility. Being a Hokage will take up a lot of his time and affect his research. However, what he hates and worries about the most has become what Uchiha Suke wants now. Orochimaru seemed to understand something and smiled. It seems that Suke-kun and I really hit it off. Orochimaru then continued. I will get back the things that belong to me, and then I will also give them to Mr. G, and Mr. G will lend you what you want. Orochimaru doesn't know why Uchiha Suke wants power and for what reason, and Orochimaru isn't interested in it either. Even for Konoha, he had no love. He is still in Konoha now, but he can't completely let go of it yet. His heart is more about the pursuit of truth and wanting to explore the essence of everything in the world. To compete for the position of Hokage, just for a breath, nothing more. The Konoha of today is no longer the Konoha of the past. It is too decadent. The sleeping windmill needs a wind to blow again. Orochimaru thought in his mind. And the Uchiha Suke in front of him was the wind he imagined in his mind. Uchiha Suke is also full of thoughts. That power? Actually, Uchiha Suke is not keen. In the Hokage ninja world, strength is fundamental. His appearance just now was just to reassure Orochimaru. Uchiha Suke thought about the first time he met Namikaze Minato and felt embarrassed by his behavior at that time. At that time, he had the Mangeki Sharingan and wasn't technically afraid of Namikaze Minato, but he was definitely flustered at the time. It was as if there was a sudden knock on the door when Lao Wang was at the house next door. After all, it was Uchiha Suke's first time doing this and he was inexperienced. However, Uchiha Suke felt unhappy the more he thought about it afterwards. Who said Kushina must be with Namikaze Minato? Why should he be afraid? It was for this reason that Uchiha Suke found Orochimaru. When the time comes, I want to see, Minato, what will happen if you don't have the Hokage. Orochimaru stayed here for dozens of minutes and then left. Before leaving, Orochimaru didn't say much and just pointed at the little snake on Uchiha Suke's shoulder. Uchiha Suke instantly understood what Orochimaru meant, watch out for little snakes. Orochimaru will tell Uchiha Suke the time and location of the battle through the snake, and he can just go there when the time comes. After watching Orochimaru leave, Uchiha Suke looked up at the sky. After a long time, Uchiha Suke recovered his thoughts and looked back at the hut. Beside the window in the room, Cai Phosphorus and Xiang Phosphorus were nestling together, looking at him worriedly. Looking at the moving colored phosphorus, Uchiha Suke seemed to have thought of something, and the touch in his hand came to mind again. With a thought, Uchiha Suke entered the room with a smile on his face. That night, after a burst of Uchiha Suke heard reminders from his emotional system. Collect Uzumaki AI phosphorus emotions of happiness, satisfaction, liking, and attachment. The total emotional value this time is 12,000 points, and the current cumulative emotional value is 82,900 points. Collect Uzumaki's shy, and shy emotions. The total emotional value this time is 200 points. The current cumulative emotional value is 83,100 points. This acquisition of emotional value directly made Uchiha Suke's emotional value exceed 80,000. Uchiha Suke is almost 50% of the way to redeeming a pair of Mangeki Sharingan from the same origin. The acquisition of emotional values this time made Uchiha Suke more certain that his emotional system was indeed not a serious system. Even if it is called a beauty collection system, Uchiha Suke doesn't have any objection. What Uchiha Suke didn't expect was that the emotional value he got this time was buy one and get one free. Thinking that the room they were staying in was not well soundproofed, Uchiha Suke quickly understood why. Uchiha Suke didn't expect Koto to mature so early. In other words, women in the Hokage ninja world mature precociously. In the following days, the system's beeps every night continued to confirm Uchiha Suke's conjecture about the emotional system. Every time you finish writing, Uzumaki AI Phosphorus will provide a lot of emotional values, and there are also some emotional values of Uzumaki AI Phosphorus. Although the emotional value obtained later is far less than when it was obtained for the first time, but still considerable. With thousands of points each time, plus a few hundred points from AI Phosphorus, Uchiha Suke is gaining mood points faster than he was in Konoha. After all, when he was in Konoha, Uchiha Suke would always be separated by a few days. And now, he's the guy singing every night. The total sentiment value soon exceeded 100,000. This situation lasted for several days, until one day, the little snake on Uchiha Suke's shoulder suddenly felt a slight burning sensation. Then a message appeared in Uchiha Suke's mind, and Orochimaru gave Uchiha Suke a position not far from where he is now. Uchiha did not leave immediately after receiving the news. Instead, he found AI Phosphorus and Xiang Phosphorus and left a technique on them. Before Uchiha Suke regained his memory, he was just an ordinary ninja who had just been promoted to Chunin. According to his memory, Uchiha Suke was still the kind of relational Chunin who only mastered the basic 3-body technique and 1 fire-style ninjutsu. Uchiha comes standard with Great Fireball. Although he now has the Mangeki Sharingan and can copy ninjutsu, hasn't he never had the chance? If you want to copy and learn powerful ninjutsu, it is even more difficult to come by. Uchiha Suke knew that he and Orochimaru would be away for a while, so for the safety of AI Phosphorus and the others, he exchanged a ninjutsu in the Emotion Mall in the past 2 days. Ninjutsu Shadow Clone Technique. Chapter 021. Emotional Mall Mutual Existence Shadow Clone Technique. Value, 2000 Emotional Value. Introduction. After use, a shadow clone mark can be engraved on the body of the designated creature. When activated, summons a preset entity shadow clone. The clone will not dissipate until it withstands a certain level of attack or the chakra is exhausted. Mutual Presence Shadow Clone Technique is a special time-lapse shadow clone technique. Although Uchiha Suke can also leave a shadow clone, and then the main body goes directly to meet Orochimaru. But Uchiha Suke didn't know how long it would take for him and Orochimaru to leave this time. If it takes too long and shadow clone disappears automatically, it will be troublesome. The coexistence shadow clone technique can imprint the shadow clone technique on the colored phosphorus and fragrant phosphorus, which can avoid the self-depletion of the shadow clone when it exists. After all, shadow clone cannot restore chakra itself. The coexistence shadow clone technique can be activated when CAI phosphorus and the others are in crisis. Even if the shadow clone is defeated, Uchiha Suke will be informed of the memory information after the shadow clone disappears. Moreover, Uchiha Suke did not intend to leave only one shadow clone technique to coexist. He planned to leave one each for color phosphorus and fragrance phosphorus. The first coexistence shadow clone technique early warning, the second insurance. More importantly, the coexistence shadow clone technique is also a prerequisite ninjutsu that is extremely popular with Uchiha Suke. Emotional Mall Time Flash Shadow Clone Technique Value, 50,000 Emotional Value Introduction. You can ignore distance and swap places with Shadow Clone of Shadow Clone Technique. This is a space-time ninjutsu. After mastering this jutsu, Uchiha Suke is able to swap places with the coexisting Shadow Clone. This is more practical than the Flying Thunder God technique and cheaper than the Flying Thunder God technique. It takes 100,000 sentiment points to redeem the Flying Thunder God technique. Unfortunately, for Uchiha Suke, the emotional value required by Time Flash Shadow Clone technique is still too much. Although Uchiha Suke currently has enough emotion points, his priority at this stage is to redeem the Eternal Mangeki Sharingan. Of course, if AI Phosphorus and Xiang Phosphorus encounter an enemy that Shadow Clone cannot defeat, Uchiha Suke will also choose to redeem Flash Mutual Storage Shadow Clone technique in advance if forced to do so. In this way, no matter what happens, CAI Phosphorus and the others' safety can be guaranteed. Mutual Coexistence Shadow Clone technique is equivalent to a guarantee. Unless, Uchiha Suke can't beat him either. Uchiha Suke isn't worried about that, though. Uchiha Suke relies on the Mangeki Eye technique Goshin Body. Even if Tsutsuki appears in front of him, he still has a certain chance of winning. And 2,000 emotion points is nothing for Uchiha Suke. Anyway, it was just a matter of one night. CAI Phosphorus, Xiang Phosphorus, wait for me to come back at home. If you are in danger, activate this mark immediately. I will come back as soon as possible. Brother, be sure to pay attention to safety. Jijun, Xianglan, and I are waiting for you to come back. Don't worry, your men are very powerful. After hugging the two of them respectively, Uchiha Suke left the courtyard under the worried eyes of the two women. When they were together with Uchiha Suke before, AI Phosphorus and the others didn't feel anything. They were happy every day, laughing constantly, and their hearts were full of security. However, not long after Uchiha Suke left, they felt as if something was missing in their hearts and lost interest in doing anything. Xiang Lian also changed from a happy bird to a quiet one. She lay on the window and kept looking out the window, waiting for Uchiha Suke to come back. As if this can bring Uchiha Suke back early. Mom, brother will be fine, right? Certainly. Cailu hugged Xiang Lu and sat together by the window, although she appeared to be much calmer than Xiang Lu. However, she also misses Uchiha Suke in her heart. The fragrant phosphorus was something she had before coming to Kusanagi village. It was a family marriage. As soon as they got married, they were on the run because of the war. Not long after, the man they had only met a few times died. It was also at that time that Cai Lian found out that she was pregnant. The next step was to enter the grass ninja village and her nightmare began. It can be said that Uchiha Suke is her first real man. Moreover, Uchiha Suke also saved her and Karin, pulling them out of the abyss. In her eyes, Uchiha Suke has long been someone more important than her life. Cai Lian took care of Xiang Lian while praying silently in her heart. Jijun, you must come back safely. After seeing the sunshine, Cai Lun couldn't imagine whether she could bear it if they went back to their previous life. She thought she probably wouldn't survive. Uchiha Suke quickly arrived at the position marked by Orochimaru and saw Orochimaru on the hillside at a glance. Uchiha Suke didn't think much and ducked behind Orochimaru. From a high position, you can see a group of Konoha shinobi in the distance. They seem to be busy together, and the most dazzling person in the crowd has dazzling long golden hair. Uchiha Suke recognized his identity immediately, Namikaze Minato. Probably because of Kushina, Uchiha Suke always has a strange feeling in his heart every time he sees Namikaze Minato. At the same time, Uchiha Suke also understood why Orochimaru called him over. Uchiha Obito is dead. Orochimaru didn't look back, looking at everything in front of him with a blurred vision. Uchiha Suke told him before that Uchiha Obito is the key figure. But now Uchiha Obito is dead. Orochimaru couldn't figure out where the dead could take him. Under the watchful eyes of Uchiha Suke and Orochimaru, the team of Konoha shinobi in the distance set up a simple tent, as if preparing for an operation. Uchiha Suke took one look and understood what happened. Namikaze Minato came back late. Uchiha Obito was hit in half by a boulder, and now Lin is transplanting Obito's eyes to Kakashi. From today on, in the eyes of everyone, Uchiha Obito is dead. Soon, the fame of the copy ninja Sharingan Kakashi will spread in the ninja world. Facing Orochimaru's questioning gaze, Uchiha Suke smiled slightly. He will not die so easily. Chapter 022. On the hillside, the cool breeze hit Uchiha Suke's cheeks and touched his clothes. Although Orochimaru didn't understand why Uchiha Suke said that, he didn't say much. Just standing in front of Uchiha Suke, looking ahead silently. After Uchiha Suke stood for a while, he squatted down and followed Orochimaru's gaze in that direction. Uchiha Suke doesn't know why Orochimaru chose this location, but Orochimaru can stand here so openly, obviously not worried about Namikaze Minato finding out. With Orochimaru around, Uchiha Suke naturally doesn't worry about him being discovered. We are all ninjas and very patient. As time goes by, the sun gradually sets from the heights, and the bright light gradually becomes dim. The setting sun stretches the shadows of everyone on the earth very long. The operation was finally completed before it became completely dark. After the group tidied up briefly, Namikaze Minato took the injured Kakashi, Lin, and several subordinates to leave. Before leaving, Namikaze Minato seemed to have noticed something, or maybe it was intuition, and glanced in the direction of Uchiha Suke. Unfortunately, the distance was too far, and Orochimaru had made some preparations in advance, so Namikaze Minato didn't find anything. Maybe it's an illusion. Namikaze Minato shook his head and forced a smile on his face. The death of Uchiha Obito was a huge blow to Namikaze Minato. It even reminded him of the last time he met Kushina in Konoha, and the same feeling of powerlessness appeared in his heart again. Just recalling Kushina's unusually gentle face, Namikaze Minato felt his heart aching. Taking a few deep breaths, Namikaze Minato quickly cleared away the distracting thoughts in his mind and left here with everyone. It seemed like everything was over. After waiting for a whole afternoon, Orochimaru finally couldn't bear it anymore. Jijun, it seems everything is over. This is indeed the case at first glance, however, in Uchiha Suke's perception, a unique chakra appeared. If Uchiha Suke hadn't opened Manjiki Sharingan, maybe we wouldn't have noticed this fluctuation. Of course, it could also be because Black Zetsu never expected that someone would be waiting here, and was accidentally exposed. No, Orochimaru-sama, take another look there. Uchiha Suke said, pointing to where Obito was buried. In Orochimaru's opinion, there was nothing unusual there. However, when Orochimaru looked over, a black and white figure that looked like a pitcher plant appeared in Orochimaru's eyes. Orochimaru's pupil shrank, and then Orochimaru looked at Uchiha Suke in shock. If before this, Orochimaru still had some doubts about the future mentioned by Uchiha Suke. So now after seeing this scene, he is a little more convinced. Because without Uchiha Suke's reminder, he would not have noticed the pitcher plant-like figure at all. A completely unknown person appears in Orochimaru's eyes. Even though Orochimaru has seen it with the naked eye, his senses still cannot detect the presence of the pitcher plant. Uchiha Suke seemed not to notice Orochimaru's shock and smiled slightly. Orochimaru-sama, can you keep up with them? Although Uchiha Suke can now sense the existence of Black Zetsu, if Black Zetsu leaves with Obito, Uchiha Suke cannot guarantee it. It's not that Uchiha Suke isn't strong enough, but Black Zetsu's hidden power is too strong. Even Sage of Six Paths and his brother were unaware of Black Zetsu's existence at the time. Uchiha Suke pins his hopes on Orochimaru. Orochimaru has so many forbidden techniques, so there should be no problem catching up with Black Zetsu, right? If that doesn't work, then we can only kill Black Zetsu. Although Orochimaru didn't know what kind of existence Black Zetsu was, after hearing Uchiha Suke's inquiry, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise slightly, flashing a confident smile. He couldn't discover the black-white Zetsu, but since he had seen the black-white Zetsu, there was nothing he could do. Jijun, do you know what is the most sensitive thing about snakes? Even though I can't detect its existence, I have smelled it now. As long as he is still in this world, there is no way he can escape from my hands. Not to mention. Orochimaru's eyes fell on Obito. No matter how deep the pitcher plant hides, doesn't it still have a target? After Black Zetsu dug Obito out of the earth, he separated the white half of his body. After forming a few seals, white Zetsu merged into Obito's body like running water, completing Obito's body. After hanging Obito's life, Black Zetsu is ready to leave. He didn't realize it at all. His every move was watched by people all the way. Seeing Black Zetsu leaving, Orochimaru cast a technique and immediately followed. Ever since, Uchiha Suke followed Orochimaru, following Black Zetsu at an extremely long distance. After climbing several mountains, Black Zetsu stopped and entered a hidden cave. After Black Zetsu disappeared for a moment, Uchiha Suke and Orochimaru appeared at the location where Black Zetsu disappeared just now. It's the author's fault that Mangeki Sharingan wasn't set properly, but it's cage level. Chapter 023. Orochimaru feels the mysterious power hidden underground. A trace of surprise and strong curiosity flashed in his eyes. Jijun, it seems we have found the right place. Although I don't know what's underneath, I have a vague feeling that I will like this gift very much. Uchiha Suke didn't pay much attention. If he didn't have an emotion collection system, he would definitely be as full of expectations as Orochimaru. After all, there are a lot of white Zetsu down there. As an experimental subject, white Zetsu possesses extremely strong shaping power. It was because of the existence of white Zetsu that Uchiha Madara mastered the power of Senju and evolved into a Rinnegan. It also allows Uchiha Obito to easily master wood style and use Mangeki without restrictions. It can be said that white Zetsu is the best experimental body and the best bloodline fusion. If Uchiha Suke doesn't have an emotion collection system, if he wants to improve his strength, he can't do without white Zetsu. Not to mention, there's Ten Tails torso underneath. Gedo statue. But now Uchiha Suke doesn't have much of a feel for what's underneath. After all, experiments are accompanied by risks, and no one knows what will happen. On the contrary, the emotion collection system is much safer. He simply prepared himself for battle, turning on the Mangeki in his eyes. Although Uchiha Suke acted extremely calmly, he knew who was underneath. Uchiha Madara. Even though Uchiha Madara is now in his twilight years, his lamp has run out of oil. But, Uchiha Madara is Uchiha Madara after all. Although Orochimaru is not weak, he may not be able to defeat the elderly Uchiha Madara. In fact, Uchiha Suke is ready to use the godly body. Orochimaru cannot die. Uchiha Suke still hopes that Orochimaru will become the 4th generation Hokage. This is an important plan for his future. And during this time together, Uchiha Suke felt that he and Orochimaru had a great understanding and harmony. He knows what Orochimaru wants, and Orochimaru also knows what he needs. The two of them have no entanglement in interests. On the contrary, it is more suitable to work together. Unexpectedly, Orochimaru summoned a snake to mark the place and then turned around and left. Uchiha Suke looked confused. Lord Orochimaru, aren't you ready to go down? Ji-kun, why should I go down? Orochimaru smiled and said meaningfully. Uchiha Suke was confused by the question. He could clearly see that Orochimaru was very interested in the lower part. And he knows that there are many white Zetsu bodies down there, which is an irresistible temptation for a scientific research madman like Orochimaru. As long as you have white Zetsu and Orochimaru's talent, it won't be easy to master wood style. He never expected that Orochimaru would actually retreat at the last moment. This made Uchiha Suke feel like he couldn't go up or down, and he was stuck in mid-air. He was ready to fight Uchiha Madara, one of the strongest fighters in the ninja world. Unexpectedly, I took off my pants, but... Orochimaru smiled, very happily. It seems that there are things that Mr. G cannot see. Uchiha Suke rolled his eyes. What he saw was the plot, but he couldn't really see the future. Of course, he couldn't see what would happen after the plot changed, let alone what Orochimaru was thinking. Orochimaru seemed to just make a joke with Uchiha Suke and then continued. I can sense that there is a very strong force below, and my intuition tells me that it is very dangerous. Now is not the time to fight them. I need to make some preparations. Uchiha Suke was stunned for a moment. Make some preparations. Could it be that God-tier pills are going to be forced to be eaten here? Is this different from what he imagined before? Uchiha Suke originally wanted to catch Orochimaru by surprise and seize something from Uchiha Madara. For this reason, Uchiha Suke also selected several products in the mall and was always prepared. Just like Susanoo no Susanoo, Gundam. When Uchiha Suke was in Konoha, he only had time to study Mangeky's two pupil techniques. Susanoo is different, it is related to the degree of development of Mangeky by the caster. In the process of practicing Susanoo, the consumption of pupil power is a huge burden, and myopia will occur if you are not careful. Moreover, only 2,000 emotion points are needed in the emotion mall to unlock the first stage of Susanoo. The second stage can be unlocked with 10,000 emotion points. The complete Susanoo can be unlocked with 50,000 emotion points. If necessary, Uchiha Suke can redeem a complete Susanoo in the mood mall at any time. If not, Uchiha Suke will wait until he redeems the same source Mangeky and opens the eternal Mangeky before practicing Susanoo on his own. The province is the province, the flowers are the flowers. But when Uchiha Suke looked at Orochimaru, he had no intention of leaving with just one shot. Instead, I plan to swallow it all. Uchiha Suke thought, and a surprising thought flashed through his mind. Orochimaru was already very pervert in the original work. He was a ruthless person who was active until Boruto. But now it seems that with my intervention, Orochimaru has developed in a more terrifying direction. Uchiha Suke quickly shook his head to get rid of this terrifying thought in his mind. However, Uchiha Suke did not stop Orochimaru's idea, on the contrary, there was a little more expectation in my heart. Uchiha Suke has an emotion collection system, and its future heights are definitely not comparable to those in the Hokage ninja world. He was curious, where would Orochimaru go under his influence? He won't be instantly killed by Uchiha Itachi and Tsukuyomi like in the original work. Uchiha Suke was thinking, as if a scene in the future where Uchiha Itachi, Uki, and Orochimaru met appeared in his mind. After Itachi gave Tsukuyomi a very confident look, Orochimaru not only did nothing wrong, but even revealed a pair of identical Sharingan. Thinking of this, Uchiha Suke stopped immediately. I can't think about it anymore, this idea is too scary. Chapter 024. Next, Uchiha Suke left with Orochimaru. Originally, Uchiha Suke thought that the preparations Orochimaru mentioned were just some ninja tools, props, or equipment. The most I can do is call some people. He never expected that Orochimaru would take him all the way back from the country of grass to the capital of the country of fire. Looking at the bustling Fire Nation capital in front of him, Uchiha Suke fell into confusion. Jijun, don't you see, why I brought you here? I don't know. Uchiha Suke answered simply. He admitted that when he first met Orochimaru, he made up his Mangeky abilities. After such a long time, Orochimaru seemed to have figured out that Uchiha Suke did not explain everything at the time. However, who doesn't have a little secret? Orochimaru does not think that Uchiha Suke lied to him, but thinks that Uchiha Suke's ability has limitations. He had long seen that Uchiha Suke could only see certain things, or the main line of fate. Jijun, your ability is very similar to a smelly toad I'm familiar with. You're talking about Todamaru, the stinky toad from Mount Maiboku. Uchiha Suke stopped pretending. I do know some things, but I don't know everything. Ji-kun, you really know it. Orochimaru said. As they spent more time together, the relationship between the two became much closer, and their conversations became more casual. Then Jijun, why don't you guess why I brought you here? If you want to say it, you will tell me. If you don't want to say it, so what if I ask? In my opinion, the probability of you not telling me is higher. Jijun really understands me. Look, you will understand why I brought you here right away. I knew that was the case. Uchiha Suke curled his lips. He discovered that after getting acquainted with him, Orochimaru was not as cold as he thought, but rather full of mischief. The two of them were standing on a tall building, extremely conspicuous. However, no one on the capital avenue of the Fire Country noticed them. As a ninja, concealment is the most basic ability. Although Uchiha Suke has never studied stealth techniques before, the absolute difference in strength prevents ordinary people below from discovering him. Soon, a graceful and luxurious motorcade appeared in Uchiha Suke's eyes. Looking at the logo on the carriage, Uchiha Suke recognized the owner of the carriage at a glance. This is the daimyo's motorcade, Lord Sono Ichihayu. Ji-kun is worthy of being a member of the Uchiha clan, and his experience is far beyond that of ordinary ninjas. This is indeed the convoy of Lord Sono Ichihayu, the daimyo of the Land of Fire. Master Orochimaru, are you taking me to see the daimyo? You are not going to take me to see the daimyo this time, are you? Yes, and also wrong. Uchiha Suke looked at Orochimaru God's mysterious appearance and frowned slightly. He was very sure that this paragraph did not exist in the original work. Especially because of his push, after Orochimaru rekindled his thoughts on the position of Hokage, Uchiha Suke was even more confused about what Orochimaru would do next. You can't hold the emperor hostage to order the princes, right? Uchiha Suke shook his head, not thinking Orochimaru would do this. The strangest thing about the Hokage ninja world is that no matter how strong the ninja is, all ninjas will obey the orders of the daimyo of each country, and no ninja will do anything to harm the daimyo or the nobles. Just when Uchiha Suke felt puzzled, a sudden change occurred below. Earth-style. Earth thorn wall. As soon as the explosion sounded, a giant mound was inserted in the middle of the daimyo's motorcade, instantly disrupting the formation of the daimyo's motorcade. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! There are ninjas. He is a ninja from Rock Shinobi village, protecting the daimyo. Where is the guardian ninja? Please help! At the same time, 3 guardian ninjas who were secretly protecting the daimyo jumped out and attacked the ninja wearing the Rock Shinobi village forward protector. Fire style, wind style, sword and light clash. Uchiha could tell at a glance that the ninja who protected Daming was not the opponent who seemed to be the ninja of Rock Shinobi village. A trace of horror flashed across Uchiha Suke's pupils. At this moment, he seemed to understand Orochimaru's thoughts. Ji-kun, I am satisfied with the performance in front of me. Although Orochimaru did not admit it, his words revealed that he sent people to create the Rock Shinobi farce. Orochimaru-sama is really unexpected. Uchiha Suke said with emotion. The ninja who is suspected of being Rock Shinobi has a superb earth style. With absolute strength, he was able to kill the 3 ninjas who were guarding the daimyo in 3 strokes, 5 divided by 2. The remaining ordinary guards are no match for this Rock Shinobi. Not long after, Rock Shinobi killed many of them. A large number of stumps were lying on the street, stained with bright red blood. The civilians around him were so scared that they hid in the dark and did not dare to come out. The daimyo's carriage of the Land of Fire was pierced by an earth thorn at some point, revealing half of the carriage, with the daimyo's face full of horror inside. Daming Yuan Shixiu was so frightened that he huddled in the corner of the carriage, trembling all over. As one of the most powerful people on the ninja continent, they have become accustomed to enjoying being on top. They never thought that someone would dare to rob and kill him in the capital of the Land of Fire. As frightened as Mr. Sonoichi Shiu was at this moment, the anger in his heart was equally strong. Sarutobi Hiruzen. He had already complained about Konoha's increase in military spending in recent years, and now hostile ninjas had sneaked into the Fire Country and openly attacked him in the Fire Country's capital. Damn it, Sarutobi Hiruzen, if I survive today, I won't be able to spare you. However, Master Sonoichi Ky soon had no time to think about this. Because after Rock Shinobi killed most of the guards, he slowly walked towards the Fire Country daimyo with his hands full of blood. Ah, don't come here. Guard, guard. Haha, Lord Ichiu, the Fire Country daimyo. When the ninjas of Konoha killed our ninjas in Rock Shinobi village, I wonder if you will be as scared as you are now. Today is the time for me to avenge Rock Shinobi village. Although the scene below looks extremely grim, Orochimaru and Uchiha Suke act calmly. Lord Orochimaru, aren't you afraid that Lord Sarutobi Hiruzen III Hokage will be suspicious of you if you do such a thing? Orochimaru said nothing and took out a scroll. Uchiha Suke received it in his hand and saw the content on the scroll at a glance. Military Materials Distribution Application Form Mission Level A. Chapter 025. Looking at the document in his hand, Uchiha Suke didn't know what to say. In order to plan this scene, Orochimaru even arranged a task for himself in advance. This gives Uchiha Suke and Orochimaru a legitimate reason to be here. Everything seems like such a coincidence. Even if Sarutobi Hiruzen has doubts, he can only remain at the stage of doubts. In other words, no one believed that Orochimaru would commit an attack, which was beyond all common sense. But if Orochimaru is the one doing it, everything seems to make sense again. Go to hell! Rock Shinobi raised his sword and stabbed the Fire Country daimyo fiercely. At the critical moment, Orochimaru tiptoed and moved instantly. A flash appeared in front of the daimyo of the Land of Fire, leaving Mr. Sonokai with a slender back. And that Rock Shinobi's right hand had long been frozen in mid-air, unable to move. Damn it, you are Orochimaru. Rock Shinobi vomited blood, slowly lowered his head and looked at his chest. At some point, a long sword flashing with cold light penetrated his body, leaving him unable to move. The moment Orochimaru disappeared, Uchiha Suke followed suit and stopped beside Orochimaru. The scene in front of me is a bit boring, but the effect is surprisingly good. Uchiha saw the flames of hope burst out in the eyes of the Fire Nation daimyo next to him. It's not hard to see that Orochimaru's plan has succeeded. Lord Sonoichi Ky, I'm sorry that I frightened you. Orochimaru wiped his hands gracefully and turned back slowly. You are, the legendary Sunin, Orochimaru? Fortunately, you are here, and you came at the right time. Come, is there anyone else? I want to give Orochimaru a reward, a big reward. Lord Sonoichi Shu, this is what I should do. Protecting the daimyo is the duty of us Konoha shinobi. Responsibility? I think Sarutobi Hiruzen has long forgotten the fundamentals of being a Konoha shinobi. If you ask me, that old guy Sarutobi Hiruzen should have abdicated long ago. It is a wise choice for a young man like Orochimaru to serve as Hokage. I'm going to Konoha another day to see what that guy Sarutobi Hiruzen is doing. Didn't I already say that I would recommend the 4th generation project? Son of Sonoichi Hyu is very complimentary. The teacher's strength is not comparable to mine. The daimyo of the fire country snorted twice and did not continue to answer. However, the more he looked at Orochimaru in front of him, the more satisfied he became. In his opinion, a ninja like Orochimaru is a qualified ninja. Next, Orochimaru and Uchiha Suke were solemnly received by the daimyo. Night. After Uchiha Suke and Orochimaru left the Ming dynasty mansion, Uchiha Suke looked at Orochimaru with some confusion in his eyes. Orochimaru-sama, do you want to become a Hokage like this? Uchiha Suke paused, through, Sonoichi Shu-sama. Sonoichi Ky? He can't do it, but he is indeed a part of my plan. Orochimaru said. Orochimaru-sama, do you have any other preparations? Orochimaru did not answer immediately, but stopped and stood opposite Uchiha Suke. There is indeed one more thing, but it is not the key. At this point, Orochimaru looked at Uchiha Suke meaningfully. The important thing is, didn't Jijun say that he would help me get back what belongs to me? Uchiha Suke instantly understood what Orochimaru meant and looked at Orochimaru and smiled. Certainly. Then the two of them looked at each other and smiled, saying nothing. The next few days. Hokage building. Sarutobi Hiruzen's roar kept coming from Hokage's office. Denzo, tell me how the information was leaked. Why are Konoha's frontline ninjas always attacked by the enemy? No matter how covered our transportation team is, they will be ambushed, and even the ninjas who attack us will know our strength. Shoo. Hiruzen, are you doubting me? Denzo was also angry. Doubtful? I'm asking. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Denzo with his eyes tightly, as if he wanted to see something. Such confidential information is only known to a few people like you and me. How did the enemy know about it? And didn't you tell me that Rock Shinobi had agreed to counterattack and attack Cloud Shinobi village? When Denzo heard this, he felt even more irritated. Rock Shinobi village promised me that I would sneak attack the Cloud Shinobi army from behind Cloud Shinobi village, but I don't know why the news broke before I took action. Cloud Shinobi village was well prepared for the attack on Rock Shinobi village, and counterattacked Rock Shinobi village. It was a surprise, and Oniki is questioning me about this matter now. I also want to ask you, how did Cloud Shinobi know that Rock Shinobi would sneak attack Cloud Shinobi? You two, stop arguing. Maybe the secret was leaked by Rock Shinobi village. Mikoto Homura advised. If it was only leaked from Rock Shinobi village, then why did our Konoha information leak out? Yudin Koharu said in a dull voice. Mikoto Homura heard this and rolled his eyes at Yudin Koharu. Which pot can't be opened? Isn't it already such a quarrel? Afterwards, the office fell into a long silence. Originally, the situation in Konoha was very precarious, and they finally instigated the rebellion of Rock Shinobi village and asked them to sneak attack Cloud Shinobi, dog eat dog. Regardless of success or not, at least one of Rock Shinobi and Cloud Shinobi will be greatly weakened, so Konoha can turn the corner. In fact, both sides suffered losses, and Konoha won without a fight. But things don't always work out as planned. Rock Shinobi village failed to attack Cloud Shinobi, but was ambushed by Cloud Shinobi. What's more, Rock Shinobi village now suspects that Konoha leaked the secret and that Konoha and Cloud Shinobi teamed up to trick Rock Shinobi. As a result, even though Konoha cut off Rock Shinobi village's supply line, Rock Shinobi village still did not give up the idea of attacking Konoha. Instead, it added new grudges to old grudges and invested more ninjas in an attempt to regain its position. Cloud Shinobi Village didn't know where it came from, but Rock Shinobi Village was instigated by Konoha to rebel, and its anger was also transferred to Konoha. Because Rock Shinobi Village and Cloud Shinobi Village are across the sea, even if Cloud Shinobi Village wants to take revenge on Rock Shinobi Village, it can only go through the Land of Fire. Moreover, now that Rock Shinobi Village and Cloud Shinobi Village are on alert, it is absolutely impossible to sneak attack on the other side's retreat through the sea. The already precarious two fronts have become more difficult with the revenge of Rock Shinobi and Cloud Shinobi. Coupled with the recent leaks of secrets in Konoha, Konoha's ninjas have been retreating steadily, and there have been heavy casualties in just a few days. Seeing this, the Mist Ninja Village was no longer prepared to wait and see, and was preparing to send troops to attack Konoha and take the opportunity to bite off a piece of fat. Even Sand Shinobi Village, which was in the midst of a civil war, had the idea of temporarily ending the civil strife and coming to take a share of the pie. By this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen was no longer as calm as before. He even had the idea of summoning Tsunade back in shame. But this idea did not relieve the pressure in his heart. Because Tsunade suffers from hemophobia, even if he is recalled, he will not be able to form a strong fighting force. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was agitated, looked back and found that there was no one in his hands. Konoha has long been in a dilemma. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly thought of Hitaki Shichisaku and the 7 colors of Konoha. Konoha used to be extremely glorious. What is the reason why there is no one available in Konoha now? It's because, what's the reason?
If you're enjoying the story so far and want to hear the next parts, don't forget to like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And if you'd like me to continue the series, drop a comment below letting me know. Your feedback and support keep these audiobooks going strong. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.